Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Deputy Governors of State Bank of Pakistan have joined us. Let me also inform you that Governor Sahab would be joining in later. His flight got delayed, due to which he is not able to join us today. He'll be joining us virtually, though. Honorable Deputy Governors, Dr. Inayat Hussain and Mr. Salimullah, Presidents and Chief Executives of banks, dignitaries from local networks and academia, Executive Directors and senior officials from SBP and BSC, media representatives, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to all of you. I am Sana Ahmed, and on behalf of the State Bank of Pakistan, I welcome you all to the first Pakistan Financial Literacy Week 2024. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you today as we inaugurate the Financial Literacy Week and come together to promote financial literacy and inclusion in the country. Today marks a significant moment as we are joined with a shared purpose, the purpose to promote the cause of financial literacy in the country. Let us begin today's events in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, and with recitation of a few verses from the Holy Quran. I would like to invite Hafiz Abu Bakr Sahab on the stage for recitation.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. शुरू करता हूँ अल्लाह के नाम से जो बड़ा मेहरबान नहायत रहम वाला है. पढ़ अपने रब के नाम से जिसने पैदा किया, जिसने इंसान को खून के लोटले से पैदा किया. तू पढ़ता रहा, तेरा रब बड़े करम वाला है, जिसने कलम के ज़रिए इल्म सिखाया, जिसने इंसान को वो सिखाया जिससे वो नहीं जानता था. सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम.
Subhanallah. Today, the 4th of March 2024, marks the beginning of a week-long initiative comprising of a diverse range of activities involving multiple stakeholders, all aimed at fostering financial education and awareness in the country. I am deeply honored to be standing in front of such distinguished guests, united by a common goal, that is to foster further understanding and financial inclusion in the country. Each one of you plays a very crucial role in this journey, and your presence here today is a sign of your commitment to the cause. Now, I would like to invite our Managing Director, SBP Banking Services Corporation, Syed Basit Ali Sahab, to please come on stage and deliver the welcome note. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Dr. Dr. Inayat Hussain Sahab, Deputy Governor, Mr. Salimullah, Deputy Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, Mr. Michael Dykeman from the World Bank Group, Presidents of financial institutions, dignitaries from multilateral organizations, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural ceremony of Pakistan Financial Literacy Week 2024. Our slogan for the week is Digital Bankari, Fori or Asan, focusing on creating awareness about the easy and instant availability of financial services through digital means. It is a historic moment for us as State Bank of Pakistan is hosting Financial Literacy Week for the very first time in the history, and we are excited to align ourselves with the peer central banks to observe Financial Literacy Week as an annual celebration. Pakistan Financial Literacy Week from March 4 to March 8, 2024 is a testament to the tireless efforts of our BSC regional offices, banking industry, and local networks, whose collaboration has been instrumental in shaping a robust framework for reaching out to the communities at the grassroots levels. Together, we recognize that financial literacy and inclusion are transformative game changers for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, to address the financial inclusion gap in the country, State Bank of Pakistan introduced National Financial Literacy Program, NFLP, in 2017. We began with the aim to empower the unbanked and underbanked segments of the society. During the first 5 years, National Financial Literacy Program envisioned to impart financial literacy to 1 million beneficiaries, 50% of which were females, and to facilitate the opening of bank accounts for 80% of participants. A deliberate focus was given to the rural areas. 70% of NFLP targets were given for rural areas. I can proudly say that NFLP successfully extended its reach to financially excluded and geographically remote areas, including locations such as erstwhile Fata, Torghar, Shighar, and Dayamir, to name a few. This demonstrated the program's commitment to addressing financial literacy in regions that were often overlooked or faced significant geographical challenges. Not only this, extra efforts were made to make the initiative further inclusive. Special targets were given to include persons with disabilities, transgenders, and religious minorities. Throughout the 5-year journey, various initiatives were undertaken to achieve the program's targets. Some of these initiatives included, but were not limited to, a comprehensive and engaging financial literacy curriculum was designed. An extensive network of 3,000 trainers was developed through specialized training programs. In order to enhance the engagement of the rural population in an entertaining manner, financial literacy concepts were brought to life through dramatization within a family-based story. To broaden outreach, street theater dramas were created in Urdu as well as 7 regional languages, including Punjabi, Sindhi, Pashto, Balochi, Saraiki, Barahavi, and Shina. This approach aimed to make financial education more accessible and culturally relevant to diverse communities across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the NFLP concluded in June 2022, having successfully met all its objectives. The program impacted 1.6 million beneficiaries across 154 districts of Pakistan, with 45,000 classrooms training sessions and street theater performances conducted. Notably, 58% of the participants were females, highlighting the program's inclusive approach. With an impressive 80% account opening rate, the NFLP's initiatives have significantly contributed to enhancing financial awareness and inclusion throughout Pakistan. Now, with the commencement of NFLP 2 from 2023 to 2027, the landscape of financial literacy has entered a new era. Banks now spearhead the delivery of financial literacy, marking a shift towards industry-owned and sustainable initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to kick off Pakistan's Financial Literacy Week 2024. Let us reaffirm our dedication to this noble cause. We are committed to offer fundamental financial education and ensuring fair access to financial services for the general public. By embracing the theme, Digital Bankari, Fori or Asan, we are emphasizing use of digital platforms to promote accessibility, efficiency, and security in financial transactions. For the benefit of esteemed audience, let me enlighten you that State Bank of Pakistan has curated an array of activities for Pakistan Financial Literacy Week 2024, engaging diverse stakeholders to promote financial awareness and inclusion. Today, as you know, we are gathered to commend the efforts of banks in championing financial literacy with an award ceremony recognizing their contributions. Following this, a panel discussion themed Digital Financial Inclusion Era 2.0 will delve into transformative potential of digital finance. Concurrently, our BSc regional offices are fostering creativity among school students through a poster competition to be held across 16 locations in the 15 cities on topic, Imagine a World Without Cash. Starting tomorrow and spanning the next 3 days, banks will set up 157 financial literacy camps across 60 districts, providing hands-on experience with digital financial services. Throughout this week, State Bank of Pakistan's museum and library are conducting various awareness activities, while our social media platforms remain engaged to amplify this message. With this diverse lineup of initiatives, we aim to flex our collective strength and make a substantial impact in advancing financial literacy nationwide. Ladies and gentlemen, let us work together to ensure that financial inclusion becomes not just a buzzword, but a tangible reality for every citizen. By investing in financial education today, we are laying the foundation for a more prosperous and inclusive tomorrow. I extend my congratulations in advance to all the winners and express my sincere wish to them to continue working with even greater dedication and passion for the national cause in the years to come. In conclusion, I encourage all partners to actively engage in this week and play their critical role in promoting financial literacy, fostering inclusion, and encouraging the adoption of digital financial services. Your participation is essential in making this a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your encouraging remarks, for elaborating on the objectives of this Financial Literacy Week, and also for explaining what the National Financial Literacy Program was and is. Ladies and gentlemen, now we shall be displaying for you a small video that we have put together highlighting State Bank's journey of financial literacy and inclusion. It will be displayed for you now.
टेक्नोलॉजी की बदौलत दुनिया तेजी से बदल रही है और पाकिस्तान भी। हमारे मुल्क का मुस्तकबिल नई नस्ल के हाथों में है, वो नस्ल कि पूरी दुनिया जिसकी उंगलियों पर सिमट आई है। आज हम एक डिजिटल इनकलाब के दरवाजे पर खड़े हैं। स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान भी हमेशा से कोशा रहा है कि बाज़ाब्ता माली सहूलतों तक डिजिटल तरीके से रसाई हर पाकिस्तानी के लिए मुमकिन हो। इन्हीं कोशिशों का नतीजा है कि गुज़िश्ता 15 बरसों में पाकिस्तान में माली शमूलियत की सतह नई बुलंदियों तक पहुंच चुकी है। कामयाबी के साथ रवां दवां इस सफर का आगाज 2007 में हुआ, जब स्टेट बैंक ने फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन ऑफिस कायम किया। पाकिस्तान में माली शमूलियत की सतह को जांचने और एक बेसलाइन मुकर्रर करने के लिए 2008 में पहला एक्सेस टू फाइनेंस सर्वे किया गया, जिससे ये पता चला कि पाकिस्तान में मजमूई तौर पर सिर्फ 11% बालिग अफराद का बैंक अकाउंट मौजूद था, जबकि खवातीन की 7% आबादी को बैंक अकाउंट तक रसाई हासिल थी। इसी साल पाकिस्तान में माली शमूलियत की सतह को बढ़ाने के लिए ब्रांचलेस बैंकारी के कवायद ज़वाबित जारी करके डिजिटल बैंकारी के सफर का आगाज किया गया, जिसने अवाम को घर बैठे और 24 घंटे बैंकारी की सहूलतों से इस्तेफादा करने के काबिल बना दिया। माली शमूलियत की सतह में बेहतरी को जांचने के लिए 2015 में दूसरा एक्सेस टू फाइनेंस सर्वे किया गया, जिससे मालूम हुआ कि माली शमूलियत में कदरे इजाफा हुआ है। बालिग अफराद के बैंक अकाउंट अब बढ़कर 16% हो चुके थे, जबकि बैंक अकाउंट रखने वाली बालिग खवातीन का तनासुब 11% हो गया था। माली शमूलियत की सतह को तेजी से बढ़ाने के लिए स्टेट बैंक ने 2015 में पहली मर्तबा नेशनल फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन स्ट्रेटजी मुतारिफ कराई। NFIS के तहत पहली दफा 65 से ज्यादा सरकारी और गैर सरकारी इदारे एक प्लेटफॉर्म पर इकट्ठा हुए, जिसने पाकिस्तान में माली शमूलियत का मंजरनामा बदल कर रख दिया। स्टेट बैंक की मुसलसल काविशों का समर ये निकला कि बैंक अकाउंट्स तक बालिग आबादी की रसाई 2018 तक महज 3 बरसों में 16% से बढ़कर 50% तक पहुंच गई, जबकि खवातीन की रसाई 11% से बढ़कर 25% तक पहुंच गई। इस हिकमते अमली के तहत बहुत से संगे मील अबूर किए गए, जिनमें से एक आसान मोबाइल अकाउंट स्कीम है। इस स्कीम के तहत कोई भी शख्स जिसके पास कोई सा भी आम मोबाइल फोन मौजूद हो, वो USSD कोड *2262# इस्तेमाल करते हुए बैंक अकाउंट खोल सकता है। अब तक तकरीबन 1 करोड़ आसान मोबाइल अकाउंट खोले जा चुके हैं, जिनमें से 32% अकाउंट्स खवातीन के हैं। स्टेट बैंक को इस बात का बखूबी अदराक है कि पॉलिसियों और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के अलावा माली खुवांदगी मुल्क में माली शमूलियत और इससे मुंसलिक फवायद हासिल करने में अहम किरदार अदा कर सकती है। यही वजह है कि 2017 में मुल्क भर में नेशनल फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम शुरू किया गया, ताकि अवाम की माली सूझबूझ को बेहतर बनाया जा सके। नौजवानों की माली शमूलियत की अहमियत के पेश नज़र 2017 में नेशनल फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम फॉर यूथ भी मुतारिफ कराया गया। नेशनल फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम का पहला मरहला मुकम्मल होने के बाद नेशनल फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी प्रोग्राम 2 शुरू किया गया। नेशनल फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन स्ट्रेटजी 2015 का तसलसल बरकरार रखने के लिए स्टेट बैंक ने 2018 में नेशनल फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन स्ट्रेटजी 2023 का आगाज किया। नेशनल फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन स्ट्रेटजी के तहत दिसंबर 2023 तक तय करदा अहदाफ से बेहतर नताइज हासिल किए गए। अब 6.5 करोड़ बालिग अफराद के फाल बैंक अकाउंट मौजूद हैं, जिनमें 2 करोड़ से जायद अकाउंट खवातीन के हैं। खवातीन की माली शमूलियत को बढ़ाने के लिए स्टेट बैंक ने 2021 में बराबरी पर बैंकारी पॉलिसी बैंकिंग ऑन इक्वालिटी पॉलिसी जारी की, जिसके तहत बैंकों में बतौर सारिफ और बतौर अमला खवातीन की नुमाइंदगी बेहतर बनाने के अहदाफ तय किए गए। एक और अहम पेशरफ्त 2022 में हुई, जब रास्त का आगाज हुआ। ये पाकिस्तान में फौरी अदायगी का पहला निजाम है, जो अफराद, कारोबारी इदारों और सरकारी इदारों को डिजिटल अदायगियां फौरी तौर पर करने में मदद देता है। इसके साथ साथ स्टेट बैंक ने 2023 में 5 डिजिटल बैंकों को लाइसेंस भी जारी किए हैं। स्टेट बैंक की जानिब से माली शमूलियत और खुवांदगी में इजाफे को बाकायदा हिकमत अमली के साथ बढ़ाने की कोशिश समरावर हो रही है, लेकिन ये सफर अभी रुका नहीं। हम पुरअज़म हैं कि 2028 तक पाकिस्तान में माली शमूलियत की सतह मौजूदा 60% से बढ़कर 75% तक पहुंच जाएगी। स्टेट बैंक मुल्क भर में हर फर्द को माली खिदमात तक डिजिटल ज़राए से रसाई और इसके इस्तेमाल को बढ़ाने के लिए हर मुमकिन कोशिश करेगा, क्योंकि माली शमूलियत का हामिल डिजिटल पाकिस्तान ही एक मजबूत पाकिस्तान होगा।
I hope the video was interesting and insightful for all of you. We have indeed come a long way, but we have to go much, much further. But I'm sure with all the stakeholders working together, we will one day, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have with us the guest of honor, World Bank's lead specialist in the finance, competitiveness, and innovation global practice for the South Asia region, Mr. Mikkel Dijkman. Mr. Dijkman was a former program manager of the Financial Sector Advisory Center in Vienna. He is currently leading financial sector policy work for Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. He shall be presenting the international perspective of financial inclusion today. Thank you, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and gracing the event with your presence.
And a very good morning to you. मैं बहुत खुश हूँ इधर होने के लिए. So it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm learning Urdu, but progress is very slow, so forgiveness for that. So it's a great honor and privilege to be here today. I would like to thank the Governor of the SBP, Dr. Jamil Ahmad. I'd like to thank DG Inayat, DG Salimullah, and I'd like to thank ED Samar Saab for making this event possible, and the SBP more broadly for inviting us for this very important event. So I'm very happy to see that the State Bank of Pakistan takes this work on financial inclusion and financial literacy so seriously. And indeed, I think it is true that great progress has been made, but there's still a significant share of unserved or underserved people by the financial system. And I think it's very important to address this issue. As you know well, I think everybody here in the room knows that growing financial inclusion is really at the heart of the World Bank's financial sector engagement with Pakistan. And we really do consider financial inclusion a very important enabler to reduce extreme poverty, to boost shared prosperity and promote economic development more broadly. And also from global experience, we know that financial inclusion has the potential to lift individuals out of poverty and to enable households and companies to do financial planning, save, take credit, or prepare for financial shocks. So in fact, financial inclusion is also identified as a key enabler of one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So it really facilitates day-to-day living and supports individuals, families, and small businesses to plan their financial futures, both short-term and in the long haul. And as was already mentioned in the presentation, clearly there has been a lot of good news here in Pakistan. And just to add a little bit of the global perspective, this is an area, financial inclusion, where an awful lot of progress has been made over the past decades. So according to our own World Bank Global Findex data, that was published in 2021, by now 71% of adults in developing countries now have a form of financial account, compared to just 42% in 2011. So that's really a 29 percentage point increase. That's very, very significant. Clearly, Pakistan has also been making excellent progress, as was showcased in the presentation and in the video just now, as has the broader region of South Asia. But we also know there are still persistent gaps along income lines and also along gender lines that are gradually narrowing, but still do require the attention of policymakers. Another area is also preparation for, that requires some attention, is also preparation for financial resilience. So by now, some 27% of the adult population in developing countries have access to emergency funds within 30 days in case are hit by a shock. But here in the region of South Asia, that percentage is only 8%. So clearly that is also something that would require attention. So turning to the topic of this week's events, financial inclusion, financial literacy. Financial literacy and financial inclusion are clearly very interlinked. They should really go hand in hand. Because in order to reap the benefits of financial services, individuals need to be equipped with the basic capabilities to make informed decisions and to use the financial system in a manner that benefits them. And that's really what financial literacy is all about, the capacity to make informed decisions, be it about saving, using credit, or reacting to financial shocks. We also know from experience, not just in Pakistan, but worldwide, that this can be a challenge because financial services are complex. And what is particularly challenging is to prepare the first users of the financial services for what lies ahead. These first users, the newcomers to the financial system, typically lack experience. They may have lower education levels, lower income levels, as is, I think, also the case, with many of the newcomers in the financial sector here in Pakistan. So rolling out financial inclusion is very important. It's really critical, actually, to take the special care and to ensure that these newcomers can access the financial system in a safe and responsible manner, and just that steers them clear of problems related to over-indebtedness. During the previous video, also reference was being made to digitalization, which is, of course, very important. And I think, obviously, we recognize the great potential of financial inclusion. I think all this massive progress in financial inclusion would not have been possible without digitalization. But it also presents new challenges. So I think, it's probably fair to say that the digitalization has really made it possible, has created new ways to provide financial services to sectors of society that were previously unbankable, or it was not be possible to bank them in a manner that is commercially sustainable for banks. And I do think technology really helps to sort of push out the boundary and make it feasible to serve sectors that were previously unserved or underserved. And that's, of course, great. And I think that also shows up in some of the global data that we have. Because we've, in the Phoenix report, according to the Phoenix report, by now 57% of adults in developing countries make or receive digital payments, compared to 35% in 2014. So clearly, this has transformed the way we go about financial transactions, from paying groceries to paying child tuitions, from receiving remittances to enabling social transfers and paying taxes. Very transformative. But also the adoption of digital finance requires essentially basic financial literacy and digital literacy skills that not everybody has, and which will require an awareness campaign which can differentiate between the various audiences. And the reality is, of course, that many lower income households may be struggling with these kind of new developments and lack the technical and the digital capabilities, or even lack reliable internet access to really reap the benefits. So obviously, we're very happy to see the State Bank of Pakistan taking this important initiative, which we think is very timely, and we really hope that with the launch of this Pakistan Financial Literacy Week, the momentum for establishing wide-ranging literacy across the country is, taken further. And we really hope that this campaign helps to raise awareness, which we see as critical to Pakistan's financial sector future. So obviously, as a World Bank, we're very happy to, partner with the SBP on these very important topics. In fact, our financial sector engagement spans a very broad range of topics. So probably I'm not going to bore you with the full range, but a few items that I believe deserve highlighting are the financial inclusion and infrastructure project that we have taking place under the supervision of ED Samar Saab. And the bank is supporting the upgrade of the National Payment Gateway. So the World Bank is also supporting has also supported the drafting of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, which was referenced just now. And our teams also work closely, very closely, with the State Bank colleagues to deliver meaningful outcomes for the country. So I can assure you that that the World Bank is committed to supporting the SBP and the government in Pakistan to enhance access to finance and to promote financial literacy. And we're working, with the government to design a dynamic and innovative project also to create a climate risk facility to address the impact of climate shocks on the microfinance sector, which is really a key enabler of financial inclusion in this country. So the work that we do together on financial literacy and financial inclusion, led by your vision, is really critical, and I really support the National Financial Literacy Week and other endeavors which will help to meet Pakistan development goals. So in summary, I'd like to thank you very much for this kind invitation, and let us continue to work together, and I wish you a very productive week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for appreciating all the efforts. Thank you for working with the State Bank in different policy-making initiatives. And also, thank you for providing your perspective of the global inclusion initiatives. Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, Mr. Jameel Ahmed, has joined us virtually now. May I now request the Honorable Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, Mr. Jameel Ahmed, for the keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Michael Dickman, Deputy Governors and esteemed colleagues, Presidents and Chief Executives of banks, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. It is with great pleasure that I am inaugurating the first ever Financial Literacy Week today. This is a first of its kind endeavor in Pakistan to champion financial literacy and inclusion on a national scale. I'm really looking forward to the series of events, competitions, and for public engagements during the week. These activities aim to promote a better understanding of the financial system and highlights the importance of engaging and encouraging responsible financial behavior in the general public, especially in youngsters. Financial inclusion is a cornerstone of a thriving and equitable economy. As the Central Bank of Pakistan, our commitment to foster financial inclusion is unwavering. We recognize that access to financial services is a fundamental right, and our mission is to empower citizens by providing them with the tools and knowledge needed to participate fully in the economy. When more people have access to financial services, it creates a broad base of consumers, savers, and entrepreneurs, and helps stimulate economic growth. It is our duty to dispel common misconceptions about formal financial services and to engage the public in an informed yet non-technical manner to build their trust in the financial system. This is all the more important in developing economies like Pakistan, where the informal economy has a substantial share in overall economic activity and contributes to widespread prevalence of informal and unsafe savings and investment abuse. Better knowledge about financial services and products will help channelize resources towards productive use. Ladies and gentlemen, financial literacy is our collective responsibility. The government, financial institutions, non-profit organizations, and educational institutions all have a role to play in promoting financial literacy in the country. I am happy that State Bank of Pakistan has been on the forefront in spreading financial literacy in the country. In collaboration with the banking industry and academia, we are proud of leading two iterations of the National Financial Literacy Program, one for adults and the other one for youngsters. These initiatives are instrumental in disseminating financial literacy to more than 2.9 million individuals with more than 50% female participation. In addition, an impressive 80% account opening rate of beneficiaries was witnessed under National Financial Literacy Program. I congratulate all of you who served in this cause and made this initiative a success by transforming it into industry-owned initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, our four recent major initiatives have focused on expanding financial services to the unbanked and underbanked segments of the society. First, SBP is moving in a more targeted manner to devise policies to better integrate the female population with the formal financial system. Sustained economic growth is not possible if half of the population is systematically excluded from the workforce. To plug this historic gap in the financial services industry, SBP has introduced the Banking on Equality policy. It supplements our national financial inclusion strategy and other initiatives to provide better access to financial services to women in our country. Secondly, SBP is spearheading multiple initiatives in partnership with banks to provide an equitable and easy access to drive usage of a range of financial services. They include RAS, Asan Digital Account, Asan Mobile Account, and more recently, digital banks. Finally, SBP has introduced specialized schemes to enhance access to finance. These schemes include the SME Asan Finance and SAP scheme, Refinance and Credit Guarantee Scheme for women entrepreneurs, line of credit for micro SMEs, and Prime Minister's Youth, Business and Agriculture Loan Scheme. I am happy to share that these initiatives have made an impact on advancing financial inclusion in Pakistan. As of today, in June 2023, there were around 177 million bank accounts in Pakistan. Of these, 83 million are unique accounts, which is 60% of the 137 million adult population. It is also important to note that the total number of accounts owned by women are 49 million, of which unique accounts are 29 million. These 29 million unique accounts represent more than 43% of the female adult population. Although the financial inclusion indicators have shown improvement over the past few years, significant efforts are still required to catch up with regional and peer economies. In our strategic plan for the next 5 years, which is called SBP Vision 2028, we aim to strengthen the financial inclusion framework through targeted policy initiatives with enhanced focus on digital means. True financial inclusion requires individuals to understand how to leverage these services to improve their lives. This is where financial literacy plays a pivotal role. By providing individuals with the necessary knowledge and skills to manage their finances wisely, we empower them to break the cycle of poverty, plan for the future, and seize opportunities for economic development. Financial literacy enables people to make informed decisions about savings, borrowings, investing, entrepreneurship, and protect themselves from financial risks. In this age of digitalization, let's plan to leverage digital platforms for massive outreach and greater impact on empowering individuals with essential financial knowledge. Digitalization heralds a promising future where financial literacy becomes more accessible and pervasive than ever before. We envision a future where every citizen has access to banking services through their smartphones, facilitating transactions, savings, and investments with ease. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end, I would reiterate that SBP is committed to realizing a future where every citizen, regardless of their background or location, has the opportunity to participate meaningfully in the economic activities. Financial inclusion through digital means and financial literacy is not just our vision, but it is a collective responsibility to build a prosperous and inclusive Pakistan. I would like to congratulate the banks receiving awards in recognition of their commendable efforts in championing financial literacy campaigns. I thank you all for your time and look forward to the wide range of interesting and engaging activities to achieve our overarching goal of financial inclusion. Thank you so much for your attention, please.
By giving financial literacy, we aim to empower Pakistan for an improved economic growth. Very rightly said, sir. Thank you so much for telling us about State Bank's vision and for explaining and elaborating financial inclusion efforts of the bank. We will now begin the Excellence in Financial Literacy Awards for banks. The awards aim to recognize and commend performance of banks under the National Financial Literacy Program for 5 years for the period spanning 2017 to 2022. For this program, we actually devised a scorecard, and the scorecard includes targets that encompassed number of on-ground sessions, the targets that were given to banks, targets for beneficiaries, account opening, and female inclusion initiatives. Yes. For distribution of award, may I please request Deputy Governor Dr. Inayat Hussain to please come on the stage and distribute the awards. I would also request Deputy Governor Mr. Salimullah and Managing Director, Banking Services Corporation, Mr. Syed Basit Ali, to please accompany Dr. Inayat Hussain. Also to accompany them, please, I would like to invite Mr. Samar Hussain, Executive Director, State Bank of Pakistan. So we have 4 award categories. The first category is Financial Literacy Champion Bank Award. Then we have a Special Performance Award, Maximum Outreach Award, and the last, NFLP Team Award. Our first award category is Financial Literacy Champion Bank Award. And for this award specifically, because it is the Champion Bank Award, we have distributed the banks into 3 categories: the big banks, medium banks, and then a small and microfinance banks. So in the big banks category, the Financial Literacy Champion Bank winner is MCB Bank Limited. May I please request MCB Bank's team to come on the stage and collect their award. So as the performance awards are for 5 years, we do recognize that it was consistent efforts for more than 1 year, for a number of years. So we have runner-up categories as well. The first runner-up for the Financial Literacy Champion Bank Award is Habib Bank Limited. I would like to invite HBL's team to please come on stage and collect the award. The second runner-up for the Financial Literacy Champion Bank Award is Allied Bank Limited. May I request ABL's team to please come on stage and receive the award. Now is the medium banks category. Financial Literacy Champion Bank winner in the medium bank category is the Bank of Punjab. I kindly request Bank of Punjab's team to come on the stage and collect the award. The first runner-up in this category is Suneri Bank Limited. I would like to invite Suneri Bank's representatives to please come on stage for the award. The second runner-up is JS Bank Limited. May I please request teams from JS Bank to come on the stage and collect the award. The third category is small and microfinance banks. The Financial Literacy Champion Bank winner in the third category is HBL Microfinance Bank. May I please invite the team? The first runner-up in this category is Sindh Bank Limited. I would like to invite the bank's team, led by the president, to come forward and collect the award. The second runner-up in this category is NRSP Microfinance Bank Limited. May I please invite the bank's team to come on the stage and collect the award. Coming to our second award now. It is the Special Performance Award. And this award acknowledges the exceptional performance of a specialized bank that has surpassed all expectations across all targets. The winner of this award is Zarai Tarakkiyati Bank. May I please request representative from ZTBL to come on the stage for the award. Our next award category is Maximum Outreach Award. And this award is for the bank that has the widest outreach in terms of districts that they have covered and in terms of number of people they have imparted financial literacy to. And the winner of this category is National Bank Limited. National Bank of Pakistan, sorry. I would like to invite the team led by the President to please come on the stage for the award. Our last, but never the least. This award category is the NFLP Team Award. And the award is for the bank demonstrating the most effective team coordination. The winner of this category is Mobiling Microfinance Bank. May I please ask the team led by the President of Mobiling Microfinance Bank Limited to come on the stage and collect the award. Congratulations to all the winners. Certificates of recognition for the 5-year performance will be distributed to all the banks, but they will be dispatched to you later. I kindly request esteemed Deputy Governors, Mr. Samar Hasnain Sahab, Basit Sahab, and Mr. Dr. Salim to remain on the stage and present token of appreciation to our World Bank specialist, Mr. Mikkel Dijkman. Sir, please come on the stage and collect a little souvenir from us. Just one more moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I now invite you to join us for refreshments outside the auditorium. Let me also inform you that panel discussion, which forms second part of today's ceremony, will begin in 30 minutes. See you all again. Welcome back. Let us begin this session. And as previously told, the session will revolve around discussion about digital financial inclusion. I would like to request Deputy Governor Mr. Salimullah, State Bank of Pakistan, to provide his opening remarks about digital financial inclusion being the future of Pakistan and to provide insights into the matter. Please welcome Mr. Salimullah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to all of you. And it was a beautiful session, the morning session, that provided that energy with respect to this start of the Financial Literacy Week. The objective of this week is to give that focus and that push towards our financial inclusion efforts. And it's a real pleasure for me to be here to share my thoughts on all these financial inclusion efforts and the objectives of this Financial Literacy Week. Financial inclusion, you see, that is a very, very critical part of our strategic objectives. We have been pursuing these objectives for the last about a decade or so, over a decade. And as you have seen in the video that was presented in the first session, that we have been able to achieve many strides in this respect. And starting from just 11% in 2008, probably, 2008 or 2009. And then we reached to 16% in 2015. And in that aspect, let me give one credit to my dear colleague, Sayyid Irfan Ali, who is sitting just in front of me, that in 2008, he spearheaded the project of branchless banking. And he had that push and energy to propagate the objectives and the potential that the branchless banking could bring. You could see that just in 7 years, the outreach and the financial inclusion levels registered a 5 percentage point increase. But then, in 2015, again, another proactive approach led by Irfan Saab and his team, I would say, that they allowed the remote opening of branchless banking accounts. Previously, it was something that you had to visit a branchless banking agent or some sort of a physical branch or an agent network to get your account open. But when we allowed the remote opening of bank accounts, just in 3 years, you would have seen in the video, just in 3 years, from 2015 to 2018, we have seen the account opening outreach increasing to 50% from 16%. So that's a big jump. And that brings us to the very topic of today, that financial inclusion through digitization. So we must leverage the technology. If we want to extend our outreach to the masses across the country, then we have to leverage that technology. And it is really, really encouraging and heartening to say that right now we have more than 113 million branchless banking accounts. And that's a big, big achievement to me. But still, a huge distance has to be covered. And there are two basic aspects of that distance that is to be covered. One, that relates to reaching the remaining segment which is still unbanked, not having the access to the financial services. This is the one aspect, and we must use and leverage the technology for reaching out to the people who have not yet been reached. The second aspect, which to me is even more important, it is that to enable the existing ones, these 113 million or overall bank accounts, when we see 128 million, 27, 28 million, how many of these are getting adequate amount of financial services? Just a bank account is not enough. And we have seen that this surge in the financial inclusion levels from 11% to 60% right now, that is largely driven by these branchless banking agents and these microfinance banks and microfinance institutions. And bulk of these accounts, they are being used for remittance purpose, which is again not something which is not important. It's very important. But what we see that when I sent a remittance from here to, say, my family in a particular village, the ultimate objective of that beneficiary is he will go to the agent and get the cash from that agent. So that is the service level which is available to him or her by now. And a very, very small segment you would see that is having access to a package of financial services, that is having access to the savings services, that is having access to credit services, the insurance services, and blah, blah, blah. So, as I said, that the now future agenda is that how to outreach to the people who have not yet been served, and two, to improve the package that we are providing to them. And one thing that I think all of you would agree, that these financially excluded segments, these segments are the most vulnerable segments of our society, most probably. The one that are having access to package of services, they are relatively better off. They can manage their risks, they can manage their cash flows, blah, blah, blah. But the one who are excluded, they are the most vulnerable. So, the objective of all these financial inclusion efforts, it is that how can we improve the well-being of these masses? How can we enable them to have access to business opportunities? How can we enable them to have access to employment opportunities? If with this perspective and objective we are undertaking our efforts, then you would be able to see that there will be energy in our staff, in our people who are working with, because there should be a purpose behind. The purpose should not be that I need to make money. You will be making money, but the objective should be that let's do something for the well-being of the masses we are serving. So let me give my thought on this, that the core focus of our field formation should be that how can we improve the well-being of our clients? How can we make things more efficient, more cost-effective, more simpler for them? How can we help them in establishing various micro-enterprises? You see that unfortunately, the education system in our country is largely producing the clerks. We are producing the people with very, very limited skills. There is a dire need to produce people, to produce a workforce which is a skilled workforce. And how that can be, how these banks and financial institutions, particularly the microfinance banks and the people working at the grassroots level, they can help and facilitate in this. There could be strong linkages between these financial institutions and the vocational training institutes. We must collaborate with the education, be it the vocational training institutes or be it the normal education institutions or the professional education institutions. We must collaborate with them that how can we create a culture of entrepreneurship in the country. Because it's not possible that each and every student graduating from our universities would be able to find a job. We must create those business opportunities. And in those business opportunities, the role of the banks, including the microfinance banks, is very, very critical. So as I was saying and emphasizing, that focus should be that how can we improve the well-being of our customers. And we must train our staff in a way that they are customer well-being oriented. When your customer will be progressing, you must be progressing. They say it's a tried and tested fact. When my clients are satisfied with me, I must be growing because they will become my ambassadors and I will be reaching out to more and more people. So that is to be done. And how can we better use the technology? How can we better use the digital platforms to have that customer facilitation and customer well-being. I would like the panelists to deliberate on that how can the digital platforms which are now available and which were not available 10 years back, how can we better use them? How can these 113 million branchless banking account holders can be facilitated in accessing more and more financial services? How can we create an ecosystem whereby they are not just withdrawing the cash from the agent, but rather they are using their wallet for making all their payments and developing their history, developing their cash flow history. By now, you see that we have not yet fully utilized the potential of the digital platforms with respect to developing the cash flow history of the clients. And if we are able to develop that cash flow history, you would see that these clients would become more bankable. Right now, one of the risks that doesn't allow banks to go aggressively towards SME finance and microfinance and small enterprises finance is that the information asymmetries. So the use of digital platforms, when we would be encouraging more and more people to use digital platforms, we would rather be helping them to develop their cash flow history so that the banks are better able to make an assessment with respect to their business size and the cash flow size and the repayment abilities, blah, blah, blah. So on these lines, I would like to conclude that let's see, and I expect from all the panelists to deliberate on that how can this digital platform be better utilized for the customer well-being, for improving not only the outreach of financial services, but let's see that how can these underserved people, they are already there, they're already with you. 130 million is a very large number. They're already available with you. We need to come up with a strategy that how can we better equip them to have their well-being. Thank you very much.
So how can we improve the well-being of the masses? As we know, the excluded are the most vulnerable. Let's collaborate and create an environment that is conducive to inclusive growth. Let's go digital. We will now commence the panel discussion, and I would like to thank Mr. Salimullah for sharing your visionary insights with us, which will indeed serve as a guiding light. For the panel discussion, the moderator is Ms. Halima Iqbal. She is the founder and CEO of Uran, which is an online money committee platform empowering women with alternative financial solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Halima Iqbal. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very, very honored to be sharing this platform with my esteemed guests. My first guest is Mr. Ahmed Salimi. He's the CEO of Digit Plus. He's a leading figure in Pakistan's mobile financial services with over 10 years of experience in developing innovative financial technologies. Key contributions include his role in the early development of Jazz Cash, a top mobile wallet, and leading the digital platform for a major Pakistani bank. As a CEO of Digit Plus, Ahmed Saab aims to enhance financial inclusion in agriculture, merging fintech with the sector to benefit farmers. Under his leadership, Digit Plus gained a commercial license from State Bank of Pakistan and attracted 40,000 customers in 2 months, processing over 1.8 billion rupees in transaction. This success highlights Mr. Ahmed's commitment to using technology to support Pakistan's agricultural economy and financial inclusion. Welcome, Mr. Ahmed. My next guest is Mr. Sohail Jawad Saab, with over 25 years in Central Bank, currently serves as the Executive Director of Digital Financial Services Group, focusing on digital finance, innovation, and regulation. His key achievements include leading the implementation of Pakistan's instant payment system, RAST, the real-time gross settlement system, the Roshan digital account scheme for non-resident Pakistanis, and Pakistan's first national payment system strategy, and the T4 core banking system at the State Bank of Pakistan. Sohail Jawad Saab holds an advanced degrees in applied sciences, statistics, and an MBA. He's also an fellow alumni of University of Waterloo. My next guest is Ms. Aban Haq. She's the head of member engagement and project management at the Alliance of Financial Inclusion, focusing on strategic planning and governance. With 20 years in international development, she previously led a program for women-led startups at Karandas, Pakistan, and has worked with notable organizations like the World Bank. Ms. Haq, a Winfield Hoffman and Fulbright scholar, holds an MPhil from Oxford University and an MA from Williams College. Last but not the least, joining us remotely is Mr. Abrar Ahmed Mir, serving as the Chief Innovation and Financial Inclusion Officer at HBL, focusing on bank's digital, data, and inclusion strategies. With a career at the nexus of business and technology, he has a strong record in strategic development, business transformation, and launching new business models. Mr. Abrar is known for his innovative approach and commitment to expanding financial inclusion through digital technologies, a leader in fostering a culture of collaboration and innovation. He has significantly contributed to the transformation of HBL into a data and AI-driven organization. With over 30 years of experience and roles on multiple boards, including as chairman, Mr. Abrar's background includes engineering and an MBA from the USA. Welcome all. I'm extremely excited about this conversation. Does this work? Thank you all. Starting off with a general question and connecting it with the theme of today's conversation, how do you all perceive the evolution of digital financial inclusion in Pakistan from its early stages to now what we term as Era 2.0? What are the key milestones and shifts in the strategies that we're seeing? Starting with you, Ms. Aban.
Thank you very much. It's a real honor and privilege for me to sit on this panel with such esteemed and experienced professionals. You can't hear me? How about now? अब जब से ये कोविड हुआ है हम ये पहला सवाल करते हैं, can you hear me, can you see me? So you can hear me now. So just want to start with thanking the State Bank of Pakistan for giving the Alliance for Financial Inclusion an opportunity to be part of this really, really exciting event, the Pakistan Financial Literacy Week 2024, the first of its kind. For those who may not be familiar, if you allow me, Halima, I'll just take 30 seconds to talk about what AFI is and how State Bank figures in the AFI story. So the Alliance for Financial Inclusion is a member-based organization. It's a network of financial sector regulators and policy makers from 82 emerging and developing economies, and State Bank of Pakistan is actually one of the founding members of this network. and currently it also serves on the AFI board of directors. So it's really, it's a privilege to be part of this event and to represent AFI. So I think there are other panelists who will talk more about Pakistan, and I will just share with the audience a little glimpse from Malaysia in a minute. But before that, I just wanted to also say that, as some of you may have realized, I've been associated with Pakistan's financial inclusion journey for many, many years in different capacities, initially with the Pakistan Microfinance Network. So I had the privilege to watch that sector grow and the leading role that State Bank, guided that sector to the development, and then some of these milestones around branchless banking. And they all at that time, I think, were leaps of faith by the State Bank of Pakistan. And I think the results of those can today be seen, and I think SBP is really amongst champions for this cause and has put its money where its mouth is. And I also want to recognize, for example, the banking on equality policy that has recently been launched, and the way that exclusion and inclusion has been looked at in that policy. I think it's an example in the international community of regulators and policymakers. So just with that opening, I thought we've heard a few comments about clients, well-being, health, how far we have come, where we are going to go. So I just wanted to share a photograph with you, if we can see it on screen. Okay, as you can tell, that's the photograph. I'm not a very good photographer. This was taken by me during my hike in Kuala Lumpur a couple of weeks ago when I knew I'm coming to this event. So this is a mountain, a small hill, nothing compared to the mountains of Pakistan, but just a small hill outside KL, about 1 hour away, and you hike for about 2 hours to reach the peak. And when you get there, you can see people are enjoying the view from there. And what you can see here is a micro entrepreneur, a woman, who is selling ice lollies. So they pack these ice lollies in these plastic bags. And what you can see, if you can't, because I think Suhail Jawad Saab is hiding it behind him, is a QR code. Yeah, and I thought this was a very, very powerful image to showcase how far the world has come. Testament to the work that organizations like the State Bank of Pakistan and financial service providers and the international community has done over the past 2 decades. It is really a sector effort that makes it possible to have the connectivity, the right financial product, the entrepreneur's knowledge and awareness about the product being available, and then for me to use it as a client and to know how to open an app and make that payment. And I think it also for me captures where we want to go from here. This is the starting point for me for 2.0, and I think we heard the Deputy Governor talk about what needs to come next. And I think this is where we are, and this, you have this customer, she is a micro entrepreneur who has needs for her business, for her personal life. How do we offer the products, the services, the reliable, safe digital financial services? Because like he said, she's also very vulnerable. The amount of money that she's going to make on this day is probably what's going to feed her family, and she can't afford to lose that money. So it's not just about making digital financial services accessible, but making sure that they are safe as well. So I just wanted to share this as a starting point for our conversation today, and I look forward to going deeper into some of these points. Thank you very much, Halima.
Thank you, appreciate it. I think this is very, very exciting, and I think with the newer innovative technologies coming into Pakistan, especially with Rast and the QR code, the conversation that is moving forward, I would love to learn a little bit more from you, Sohail Jawad Saab. How do you see the shifts happening within this ecosystem, and what's that vision looking like?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Halima. I think تھوڑی دیر کے لیے امیجن کریں کہ آج سے 10 سال پہلے ہمارا ایکو سسٹم کس طرح کا تھا. ہمارے پاس کتنی پوائنٹ آف سیل مشینز تھیں, کتنے کارڈز تھے. آئی تھنک ای کامرس تو سارا کیش آن ڈلیوری تھا, اینڈ آئی ایم ٹاکنگ اباؤٹ 2012 2013. اور موبائل بینکنگ, انٹرنیٹ بینکنگ آلموسٹ نان ایگزسٹنٹ تھی. اینڈ فاسٹ فارورڈ 10 years اینڈ یو کین سی دا چینج دیٹ ہیز ہیپن. آج سے 11 سال پہلے, 12 سال پہلے, آئی کین اسٹل ریممبر کہ پیئنگ یور یوٹیلیٹی بلز واز اے بگ ٹاسک. یو نیڈ ٹو ٹیک آف, آپ چھٹی لیں اور جا کے لائن میں لگیں, اور پھر وہ بینک 1 بجے بند کر دیتا تھا, اور وہ سارے مسئلے تھے. بٹ ناؤ یو کین پے یور بلز آن لائن. آج ہمارے پاس آئی تھنک 16 ملین کے قریب بینک اکاؤنٹ ایپس ہیں, موبائل ایپس, اینڈ دے آر گروئنگ ایٹ اے ریٹ آف آلموسٹ 30% a year. Internet banking is growing at a rate of 25-26% a year. اور جو ہماری ٹرانزیکشنز ہیں آن موبائل بینکنگ, they are doubling every year in terms of amount. They are doubling and they are increasing by 60% every year. تو اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ the shift has happened, and the shift to new payment systems, to new payment instruments has happened. اور اس میں ہماری جو پاپولیشن کی ڈیموگرافی ہے, اگر آپ اس کو بھی دیکھیں تو ہمارے پاس ایک بڑی جو میجورٹی ہے ویری ینگ پیپل. اور وہ ینگ پیپل دے آر ویری گڈ ایٹ یوزنگ ٹک ٹاکس اینڈ یوٹیوبس اینڈ فیس بکس اینڈ انسٹاگرامس. آئی تھنک دا اونلی تھنگ دیٹ ناؤ ریمینس از ہاؤ ٹو برنگ دیم ٹو دا فائنینشیل سسٹم. آج بھی اچھے خاصے پڑھے لکھے لوگ ڈرتے ہیں کہ میرے ساتھ کچھ ہو نہ جائے, مجھے کوئی گڑبڑ نہ ہو جائے میرے ساتھ. میرے خیال میں پاکستان میں اس وقت جو ایکو سسٹم کی ٹرمز میں وی آر ایٹ اے پریٹی میچیور اسٹیج. آف کورس ود راست کمنگ ان نیکسٹ ایئر ویل بی لانچنگ دا نیو RTGS سسٹم آلسو. اس کے علاوہ موبائل بینکس, EMIs, PSPs, ڈیجیٹل بینکس آ جائیں گے فل فلیج. تو جو پرووائڈرز ہیں اور جو انفراسٹرکچر ہے وہ تو ہوگا, لیکن ہاؤ کین یو میک دا ہارس ڈرنک دا واٹر. یو کین برنگ دا ہارس ٹو دا واٹر, بٹ ہاؤ کین یو میک اٹ ڈرنک. اور یہ ہے کی چیلنج ہمارا کہ ہمارے نمبرز, میں آپ کو جسٹ ٹو گیو یو ایگزامپل, آج راست پہ ہم P2P پہ آلموسٹ آن دا ایوریج 1.5 ملین ٹرانزیکشنز a day کرتے ہیں. Although we have missed our target, which was 2 million transactions that was supposed to be achieved in January, but still then اگر آپ, اور اس وقت ہم نے کوئی راس پہ more than 400 million transactions کی ہیں since its launch, اور اور تقریباً 8.4 trillion rupees process ہوئے. If you look at the distribution, the first trillion rupees were processed in 322 days, and the 8th trillion rupee were processed in 33 days. So the adoption is also going on. What now needs to be done is to bring the people and make them, ان کو یہ سمجھانے کی ضرورت ہے کہ ٹیکس بچانے کے چکر میں نہ رہو. یہ ایک بہت شارٹ سائٹڈ چیز ہے. اسی طریقے سے, اور جو آج ہم فائنینشیل اویئرنیس کا ویک منا رہے ہیں, یہ صرف لوگوں کے لیے نہیں ہے, یہ ہم سب کے لیے ہے. یہ ہمارے بینکس کے لیے بھی ہے, یہ ہماری فنٹیکس کے لیے بھی ہے, یہ ہماری PSPs کے لیے بھی ہے, کہ جو DG صاحب نے بھی بات کی کہ واٹ آر یو ولنگ ٹو گیو ٹو دا پیپل. یہاں تو یہ مسئلہ ہے کہ اگر کسی کے ساتھ ڈیجیٹل فراڈ ہو جاتا ہے تو بیچارہ یا بیچاری تو لٹرلی وہ رول جاتے ہیں, انہیں کوئی سپورٹ نہیں ملتی. اور تو ہاؤ آر وی ولنگ ٹو ہینڈ ہولڈ دیم. تو اب جو مسنگ لنک ہے, کمنگ بیک ٹو یور کوشچن, کہ جو مسنگ لنک ہے کہ ہاؤ کین وی گو آؤٹ اینڈ ہینڈ ہولڈ دا پیپل آؤٹ دیئر, اور دیٹ ول ڈٹرمن the future of digitization and digital payments in Pakistan.
Definitely agree with you, and I think Mr. Ahmed, you are a direct recipient to one of the innovative licenses that have come out of State Bank. But you've also picked up a very vulnerable community, जो farmers की, agriculture की है, जिसमें financial literacy भी कम है, जिसमें digital literacy भी कम है. How do you overcome those challenges, and what are the strategies that Digit Plus is adopting to make sure that as we go into this new era, we are creating more inclusive products?
Thank you so much, Halima. So we are an agri-fintech and we've recently started. So हमने जब इसको envision किया तो हमने देखा कि काफ़ी आपकी learning के challenges यहाँ पर होंगे. What we did was, and which has been very successful for us right now, is कि हमने पाकिस्तान की पहला mobile wallet बनाया जिसके जो multilingual है. हमारी जो app है वो पश्तो में भी है, सराइकी में भी है, पंजाबी में भी है, उर्दू में भी है, और हम मज़ीद languages monthly basis के ऊपर add कर रहे हैं. उसके ऊपर जो impact ये हुआ कि within the first 2 months of our commercial launch हमें अभी 40,000 हमने farmers on board किए हैं और 1.8 billion की transactions किए हैं, and I can see कि जो languages हैं through the analytics वो बहुत effectively use हो रही है. Second चीज़ जो हमने फिर financial literacy के लिए की, हमने audio assistance दी an app. So हर transaction के पीछे आपको audio बताती है in a very layman terms कि आपने वो transaction किस तरह करनी है. उसके ऊपर हमें बहुत हेल्प मिली. थर्ड चीज़, जब हम फार्मर्स के अंदर गए तो हमें फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी का यस वी हैड एन इशू, तो हमने उनको यहाँ पे ये देखा कि फार्मर्स का सोर्स ऑफ इनकम एक ही है, या तो वो मिलर्स हैं, जिनर्स हैं जो कि उसका प्रोड्यूस जो है वो ख़रीद रहे हैं. उन शेयर स्पेसेस के अंदर हमने सेशंस किए जहाँ हमने फाइनेंशियल अवेयरनेस भी फार्मर्स के अंदर की, बल्कि सिक्योरिटी अवेयरनेस भी की, बिकॉज वो भी एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है इसके अंदर का. Second, third, हम अब ecosystem develop करें, but it's a new market, it's a difficult market to cap. इससे पहले पाकिस्तान में ज़्यादा इसके ऊपर काम भी नहीं हुआ डिजिटल मार्केट के ऊपर, तो हम पूरा ecosystem बना रहे हैं. वो ecosystem ऐसे है कि initially हम start करते थे farmers को on board करने से. अब हमने थोड़ी strategy change की है. अब जो मिलर्स हैं या जिनर्स हैं उनका जो स्टाफ है हम उसको भी ऑन बोर्ड करते हैं, बिकॉज वो फिर ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बन जाते हैं उस फार्मर्स के. जो दुकान है और दुकानदार हैं उस एरियाज़ के अंदर हम उनको भी ऑन बोर्ड करते हैं, बिकॉज उनका डेली इंटरेक्शन है विद द फार्मर्स, और वो भी एक किस्म के जो है ब्रांड एम्बेसडर्स उसके अंदर बनते हैं. अगली चीज़ जो हमने की दैट इज़ डिजिटल मीडिया, एंड दैट्स टिकटॉक. सो वी आर द ओनली वन दैट हैज़ डायरेक्टली इंटीग्रेटेड विद टिकटॉक इन पाकिस्तान. और अब हम वहाँ पे, और जो रूरल एरियाज़ हैं वहाँ टिकटॉक की कॉन्सेंट्रेशन सबसे ज़्यादा है, तो अब हम वहाँ पे पूरी सीरीज़ नेक्स्ट वीक से स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं शॉर्ट वीडियोस की, जहाँ पे अवेयरनेस हम इम्पायर कर रहे हैं थ्रू फार्मर्स एंड रूरल कम्युनिटीज़ थ्रू टिकटॉक एंड अदर सोशल मीडियाज़ एज वेल. दैट्स व्हाट वी आर डूइंग. एंड देन वी हैव जो हमारा नेक्स्ट प्लान है दैट्स ऑल्सो गेमिफिकेशन. सो हम एक गेम लूडो इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं. आपको पता है लूडो इज़ समथिंग वेरी कॉमन, और फार्मर्स के अंदर हमने खुद देखा कि रात को जो है जो उनका लेजर टाइम है उसमें लूडो यूज़ होती है, तो हम लूडो लॉन्च कर रहे हैं जो कि विच हैज़ अ लॉट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल अवेयरनेस फीचर्स एज वेल. सो दीज आर फ्यू फीचर्स दैट वी हैव टेकन अप जिसके लिए हम फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी को इम्पायर कर रहे हैं.
I have a interesting insight on that कि औरतें जो कैंडी क्रश खेलती हैं, एटलीस्ट हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म पे जो कैंडी क्रश खेलती हैं उनकी क्रेडिट वर्दीनेस सबसे हाई होती है, बिकॉज वो हर वक्त अपनी बेहतरी के लिए एक तो गेम भी खेल रही हैं बट वो अपनी बेहतरी के लिए सोचती हैं. So we have seen कि उनकी credit worthiness is very high, and I think using games within vulnerable communities can help us figure out कि किस तरीके से आप better financial services और literacy भी provide कर सकते हैं. Abrar sir, going on to you, आपके experience में in banking industry in general and HBL specifically, adapting its strategies and services to align with the demands and opportunities of digital financial inclusion. How are you thinking about it? How is the bank thinking about it? And you've been at the forefront of innovation as a bank as well. With newer fintechs coming, how are you thinking in terms of creating that inclusive ecosystem as well? We can't hear Brar Saab. We can't hear you, Brar Saab.
Any
Yes.
better? I
Yes.
can hear you all fine.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, my apologies for not being there in person. Our CEO was supposed to be there and he had to go somewhere, so I had to step in at the last minute. So to answer your question, Halima, I think as the Deputy Governor also mentioned and as Suhail Jawad Sahab also just alluded to, some of the things that have happened over the last decade are about where the regulator has played a huge role in terms of putting out enabling regulatory environments to go out and support and kind of put the digital financial inclusion on a fast track. And those regulations have evolved as the technologies that were coming into the country, that those technologies evolved, those regulations have evolved as well. Now, while that has happened, I think उस पिछले एक decade में through various branchless banking initiatives and the mobile apps की usage, masses के अंदर an acceptance for digital financial services बढ़ गया है. That confidence on the formal financial system among the previously unbanked segment, that has increased. उन्होंने basic अपनी needs, fund transfer, bill payment वगैरह करके देखा, repeatedly करके देखा, so their confidence level has increased, infrastructure has increased. But now the real challenge comes in terms of coming out and rolling out true and more innovative, more interesting products and services that now translate into a more utility for the targeted segments. And as mentioned earlier as well, the unbanked or thinly banked population are probably one of the most vulnerable segments of the society, as are the micro and the SMEs. They are the most vulnerable segments of the society. So I think for us, the challenge now remains, how do we go out and start leveraging the technology, start leveraging the enabling regulatory environment to build on the successes so far, build on the foundations that have been laid so far, to now roll out new products, new services, and how to think about those products differently. A cash flow की बात हुई, other than collateral, climate change एक बड़ा मेजर इम्पैक्ट है जो कि अब वो लोगों की और ख़ास तौर पे इस वल्नरेबल सेगमेंट की लाइफ में लेके आता है. सो अगर आप सोचें तो एज अ फॉर्मल बैंकिंग सेक्टर we don't have the mechanisms to kind of go out and finance somebody who wants to build a wall to protect themselves against flooding, at least low-level flooding, because uski koi ROI nahi hai. So how does one think about going out and offering credit facilities or other products or services to those kinds of segments and enable them? I think that's going to be a collective challenge for us, not just for HBL, but for us as an industry. And that's where us and the regulators will need to think together about coming up with new kinds of products and services which go outside the realm of the conventional suite of products and services which have been designed and used for decades and centuries. Thank you.
Thank you, Abrar Sahab. I think you brought on some very important point around climate. And Ms. Abana, I want to ask you this question. Climate is now becoming a very central part of any discussion, right? Especially on the economic futures of every country at this point. And even though we are not direct contributors to the climate change, but unfortunately recipient के side पे बैठे हुए. So is there a role for digital financial services in mitigating climate risks and contributing to a greener, sustainable economy?
Thank you, Halima. I'm glad this came up because it allows me to touch on 2 points. The first is the fact that central banks or financial sector regulators की jobs मुश्किल से मुश्किल होती जा रही हैं. I think especially developing and emerging economies में जहाँ institutions इतने diverse नहीं होते कि you can have different regulators, different setup, different entities. So economic and financial policy making for a country, usme central banks are basically the key players with one or two other entities in most of these countries. اور اس وقت جو economies ہیں they are confronted by massive challenges. اس کو ہم you may even have heard of this word poly crisis, interlinked crisis. ایک طرف like you rightly mentioned climate crisis ہے اور اس میں it's pretty clear کہ نہ کوئی ایک ادارہ نہ کوئی ایک ملک اس کو سولو کر سکتا ہے اینڈ اٹس رائٹ ایٹ آر ڈور. اس کے علاوہ اور بہت سارے چیلنجز ہیں, کانفلکٹ, ڈسرپٹنگ supply chains, inflationary pressures, unstable global markets. So I think the role of central banks has become critical and very, very difficult. And coming to the specific climate change, اس میں بھی سہیل صاحب talked about کہ اگر آپ 10 سال پہلے دیکھیں ڈیجیٹل فائنینشیل ایکو سسٹم, آپ 10 سال پہلے سینٹرل بینکس کا رول ہی دیکھ لیں یا نیریٹو دیکھ لیں, اس میں کون کلائمیٹ چینج کی بات کرتا تھا. بٹ ناؤ اٹس ایوری ویئر اینڈ اٹس پریٹی کلیئر ویدر اٹس ایڈوانسڈ اکانومیز اور ڈیولپنگ اکانومیز, there are expectations from policy makers, especially regulators and central banks, to make a contribution here. اور آفی نیٹورک میں ان فیکٹ دس ہیز بیکم a very, very rapidly rising policy area of interest. In fact, digital financial services کے بعد نمبر 2 پہ اب انکلوسیو گرین فائنانس ہے. میننگ کہ ٹھیک ہے گرین فائنانس تو ہم نے دیکھنا ہی ہے بٹ اٹ آلسو نیڈس ٹو بی انکلوسیو. سو یو کانٹ جسٹ لک ایٹ greening the financial sector, greening financial sector policies with consciously also looking at it from an inclusion lens. So I think that's where the intersect between digital financial services and green finance especially comes in. And for developing economies, jaise aapne kaha, unfortunately we are on the receiving end of climate change with being the least contributors but being the most vulnerable. Aur uske andar bhi jo sabse aapke vulnerable segments hain, they are at the greatest risk. So agriculture ki baat hui, so the agriculture sector is very, very vulnerable. Similarly aapke jo people living in for example in Pakistan, mountainous areas are quite vulnerable. Pakistan in fact I think is the 8th or something like that most vulnerable to climate change country in the world. So isme I think when we look at the experience of the AFI network, so there are at least 2 or 3 critical contributions that inclusive green finance and policies for that can play. One is as safety nets. So digital financial services, I think COVID نے اور کچھ کیا ہو یا نہ کیا ہو, یہ تو ثابت کر دیا کہ آپ کو access to financial services is going to be through digital and it's really critical اگر آپ نے ان segments کو reach کرنا ہے جو کسی بھی crisis سے affected ہیں in a safe, immediate and relevant way. Same applies to climate. How do governments get social payments out to people who are, for example, affected by floods? اور فار ایگزامپل اینی ادر نیچرل ڈیزاسٹر. سو ہم نے یہ اپنے نیٹ ورک میں دیکھا ہے جب کہیں پہ ہریکین آتا ہے یا فلڈز آتے ہیں یا ٹائفون آتا ہے, ڈپینڈنگ آن ڈفرنٹ کنٹریز, فیجی ہے, بہاماز ہے, ایٹسیٹرا. ڈیجیٹل فائنینشیل سروسز اینڈ ہیونگ ایکسیس ٹو دوز, ناٹ جسٹ ہیونگ ایکسیس ٹو دا والیٹ بٹ دین بینگ ایبل ٹو یوز دیٹ منی ود ان دیٹ ایکو سسٹم becomes a really critical factor in building the resilience of those communities. So this is one. The other is also the P2P payments. آپ سوچیں کہ ایک کمیونٹی ہے اگر اٹ از افیکٹڈ بائی اے نیچرل ڈیزاسٹر تو ان کی جو بھی سوشل نیٹورکس ہیں ود ان دا سیم ایریا آر آلسو افیکٹڈ بائی دا سیم ڈیزاسٹر. سو دیم بینگ ایبل ٹو کم ان ود سم ایمرجنسی ہیلپ اور سپورٹ فار فیملی ممبرز بیکمز ویری چیلنجنگ. سو فار them to be able to access support networks outside that location, for example across the country or in other cities or locations, again digital financial services is really important. So the P2P and the G2P aspect, I think, from a social safety net perspective related to green finance is very critical. And the other, I think, important iska aspect hai, which I think Abrar Saab touched upon, is enabling these vulnerable segments to adapt to climate change. کیا ہم ان کو فار ایگزامپل اگر فارمر ہے یا کوئی اسمال بزنس ہے, رائزنگ انرجی بلز ہیں, جو بھی ہے, اس کو کیا ہم فائنینسنگ پرووائڈ کر سکتے ہیں وچ کین انیبل دیم ٹو ٹرانزیشن فرام ون ٹائپ آف ٹیکنالوجی ٹو اندر, سولر لگا رہے ہیں یا ڈفرنٹ پروڈکشن پروسیس کرنا ہے, یا ایگریکلچر میں آپ نے یو ہیو ٹو mitigate the effect. تو I think the other key role of digital financial services is making sure that the right products and services are available to these segments to enable that transition for climate adaptation. I think these are especially two critical areas.
Can you guys hear? I think the work that Digit Plus is doing in terms of taking a very vulnerable community and creating use cases around them, what insights have you gained as you promote financial services and also push for literacy within these communities?
So, Halima, you see, humne abhi tak, it's been 2 months, humne 40,000 wallets onboard kiye. But onboarding these accounts is not enough. Yeah, onboarding these accounts, میں نے کو بتایا تھا کہ ہم نے 40,000 wallets 2 مہینے میں بھی فارمرس کے onboard کیے, لیکن onboarding is not enough. It's not a big thing کہ آپ نے جو ہے اکاؤنٹ کھلوا لیا. آپ نے پورا ایکو سسٹم بنانا. جیسے ابھی آپ نے بھی تھوڑا سا پہلے بولا کہ ہم نے مزید اس کو, تو ہم اب ایکو سسٹم کے اوپر کام کریں. ایکو سسٹم کیسا ہے کہ ہم نے 10-15 سال کے اندر ہم بہت سارے ون لنک بلرز دیکھتے ہیں, اور آج کل کے الیکٹرک ہو یا لاہور کی الیکٹریسٹی پیمنٹس ہو بہت انکریز ہو رہی ہیں. ہم نے ٹیوب ویل کی پیمنٹس ڈیجیٹائز کی ہیں اب, اور جو ٹیوب ویل کی پیمنٹس ہیں فرسٹ ڈے کے اندر, یہ لاسٹ ویک ہم نے کیا, فرسٹ ڈے کے اندر ہم نے 1.7 ملین کی ٹرانزیکشنس کلاک کر لیں. دس از پارٹ آف دی ایکو سسٹم. سیکنڈ, ہم نے اس کے بعد ہم نے یہ دیکھا کہ ہم مزید کیسے فارمر کے لائف سٹائل کے اندر پینیٹریٹ کر سکتے ہیں. سو جو سیکنڈ بگیسٹ پرابلم ہم نے فارمرس کی دیکھی وہ انپٹس کی ہے. پیسٹیسائڈز ہیں آپ کے پاس, اور بہت ساری ڈیپس ہیں, بہت ساری انپٹس ہیں. اس کی اویلیبلٹی کا ایشو ہے, اس کی پیمنٹس کا بھی ایشو ہے, بیکاز یہ بہت زیادہ کاؤنٹرفیٹ ہوتے ہیں مارکیٹ میں یا شارٹ ہوتے ہیں. اب ہم نے پارٹنر کی ہے ود اے لاٹ آف ایگری مال کمپنیز, اور ہم نے ڈیجیٹائز کیے ہیں اس کی پیمنٹس. ہم نے انشور کیا ہے تھرو دیز ایگری مال کمپنیز کے دا رائٹ پروڈکٹ ٹو دا کسٹمر ملے. تھرڈ چیز جو پھر اب ہم اس کے اندر اب ہم کر رہے ہیں وہ یہ ہیں کہ نہریں ہوتی ہیں, کینالز ہوتی ہیں فارمرس کی, ان کینالز کی پیمنٹس اب ہم ڈیجیٹائز کر رہے ہیں. دس از آل نیو ویلیو دیٹ وی کریٹنگ. اس کے بعد اب ہم پارٹنرشپ کر رہے ہیں سولرس کے اندر. سو جتنے بھی رورل ایریاز ہیں اور فارمر ایریا ہیں, ان کی بہت زیادہ ریلائنس ہے سولرس کے اوپر. تو سولرس کی اویلیبلٹی اور تھرو پارٹنرس, اور اس کے بعد اس کی پیمنٹس کی ڈیجیٹائزیشن جو ہے ہم کر رہے ہیں. سو سب سے بڑی لرننگ یہ ہے کہ وی ہیو ٹو ڈیولپ این ایکو سسٹم اراؤنڈ اٹ, تاکہ ہم فارمرس کی لائف اسٹائل کے اندر پینیٹریٹ کریں. اور جب وہ ہوگا تو پھر ہم خالی ایک اکاؤنٹ نہیں ہوں گے, پھر ہم اس کو ایکسٹینڈ کریں گے, اس کو 30 ڈے ایکٹیو بھی کریں گے, اس کو 15 ڈے ایکٹیو بھی کریں گے, اور پھر یہاں سے آگے پھر جب آپ ڈیٹا انکیومولیٹ کریں گے تو پھر سیونگس بھی ہوگی اور لینڈنگ بھی ہوگی. پلس ہم پیرامیٹرک انشورنس کے اوپر کام کر رہے ہیں ود اے فیو کمپنیز. پیرامیٹرک انشورنس میں ہوتا یہ ہے کہ اگر کوئی نیچرل ڈیزاسٹر ہو جائے تو اس کے میگنیچیوڈ کے اوپر جو ہے کلیم ملتی ہے فارمرس کو. تو دیز آر آل دی تھنگز دیٹ وی ڈوئنگ فار دی ایکو سسٹم, اور یہ اب امپیکٹ کرے گا. سو اور ایک لاسٹ لرننگ یہ ہے کہ دس از اے سلو پروسیس, بیکاز ہم ایگزیکٹ نیو مارکیٹ ڈیولپمنٹ کر رہے ہیں, ایک نئی سروسز کے اندر جا رہے ہیں. سو اٹس گوئنگ ٹو ٹیک ٹائم, بٹ دیر از امینس پوٹینشیل ٹو اٹ. آلسو ہم ابھی جو پروڈکٹس بناتے تھے پاکستان میں وہ ون سائز فٹس آل تھی, ہم ایک چیز سب کو بیچتے تھے. بٹ آئی تھنک دیٹ ہیز ناؤ مووڈ. اب ہمیں اسپیشلائز پروڈکٹ بنانی پڑیں گی. جتنی ہم چیزیں آپ کو بتا رہے ہیں یہ ساری فارمر کی پروڈکٹس بن رہی ہیں. اسی طریقے سے ایگری کے اندر بہت سارا ایریا ویمن کا بھی ہے. اب ہم ویمن کی پروڈکٹس کے اوپر جا رہے ہیں, ہم ان کی اسکوپنگ کر رہے ہیں اور ان کو ڈیولپ کر رہے ہیں, اور اسی طریقے سے پھر ایس ایم ای ایک مارکیٹ ہے, اور مارکیٹ سے ہمیں اسپیشلائز پروڈکٹس بنانی پڑیں گی تاکہ ہم یہ فائنینشیل انکلوژن کو انکریز کریں پاکستان میں.
So Jawad Sahab, how do you see Rast transforming? جو جس کے طریقے سے نئے نئے یوز کیسز آ رہے ہیں, how would you see that Rast transforms the digital payment landscape within Pakistan? And what are the future offerings of Rast, and what are the value addition it has brought to the financial services industry?
Thank you. So my favorite question. And I think there 5-10 منٹ کافی نہیں رہیں گے, بٹ اگر آپ کسی بھی کنٹری کی ڈیجیٹل جرنی کو دیکھیں تو دیر از اے اسٹیک اپروچ. اسٹیک کی سب سے اوپر کی جو لیئر ہے وہ یہ ہے موبائل فونس, ٹھیک ہے نا, اور اس کے ساتھ کنیکٹیوٹی اور کتنی روبسٹ ہے اور یہ سارا. دا سیکنڈ لیئر از پیمنٹس, اور اینڈ آئی ایم سیئنگ دس فار ایوری ون, اسپیشلی دا بینکس, کہ پیمنٹس از دی ایبلٹی آف بزنسز, انڈیویجولس, کسٹمرس ٹو ریپڈلی موو دیئر منی. تو اب جتنا اچھا پیمنٹ سسٹم آپ کا ہوگا, اس کی کیپیبلٹی اس کا صرف ایک ہی ہے کہ اس میں انسٹنٹ پیمنٹس ہونی چاہیے, اور اس میں یہ چیز اب جو ہے فیزیبل نہیں ہے کہ آپ کسی کا پیسہ روکیں. تو بینکس کے لیے بھی سمجھنے کی ضرورت ہے کہ فلوٹ کا ماڈل اور پرانا ماڈل جس میں 3 دن 4 دن آپ پیسے روکتے تھے, شاید وہ ختم ہو رہا ہے. اینڈ آف کورس دی ادر ٹو لیئرز, ون از ڈیٹا, اور وہ بھی میں بتاتا ہوں کس طرح کنیکٹڈ ہے. ڈیٹا پہ آئی تھنک وی آر وے بیہائنڈ ان دا ورلڈ, اور اس پہ کچھ ہمارے یہاں اتنا کوئی خاص کام بھی نہیں ہو رہا, اور اس ڈیٹا میں آف کورس اس کی اسٹوریج, اس کی یوزیج, سب کچھ آ جاتا ہے. اینڈ دا فورتھ از نیو ٹیک, کہ نئی ٹیکنالوجیز کو کیسے ہم اڈاپٹ کرتے ہیں اور کس طرح سے اس کو آگے لے کر جاتے ہیں. تو یہ اسٹیک ہے ہمارا. اب پیمنٹس کے اندر اگر ہم دیکھیں تو آف کورس راست از بلٹ آن اسٹینڈرڈ وچ از کال ISO 20022, 222 بھی لوگ کہتے ہیں. Now this is again a data rich standard, which means کہ پیمنٹ صرف اب ڈیبٹ کریڈٹ نہیں ہے, اس کے ساتھ پورا کانٹیکسٹ ٹریول کرنا چاہیے, اس کے ساتھ بلس بھی ٹریول ہوں, اس کے ساتھ انوائسز بھی ٹریول ہوں, ٹو دا ایکسٹینٹ کہ اگر کوئی آرٹسٹ کوئی آرٹ ورک کرتی ہے تو وہ بھی ٹرانسفر ہونا چاہیے, ٹھیک ہے نا. دیٹس دا آئیڈیا آف ISO 2022. اٹس گاٹ رچ APIs. اس وقت ہم نے راس کی ڈپلائمنٹ میں آئی تھنک کوئی 125 APIs ایکسپوز کی ہیں ٹو بینکس. اٹس اے بگ نمبر میرے خیال میں. اور اس وقت میں نے آپ کو بتایا کہ ہم ڈیلی 1.5 ملین جو ٹرانزیکشنز آتی ہیں, API کالس 4 ملین ہیں. اینڈ وی ور سارٹ آف کہ یار یہ 1.5 تو ہیں, لیکن یہ باقی 2.5 کہاں جا رہی ہیں. تو اٹ ٹرنڈ آؤٹ کہ بینکس are actually using RAS for data interchange and validations of the other transactions also that are not related to RAS. تو اگر آپ نے کسی اکاؤنٹ کا ٹائٹل چیک کرنا ہے, اگر آپ نے کسی کی کوئی اور دیکھنا ہے کہ اس پہ پوسٹنگ ریسٹرکشن تو نہیں لگی ہوئی, they can do it. And in fact businesses can use this functionality when they send their bulk payments to RAS. تو وہ یہ دیکھ سکتے ہیں کہ before posting کچھ اکاؤنٹ پہ کوئی مسئلہ تو نہیں ہے. برانچ لیس بینکنگ میں ایک بہت بڑا ایک چیلنج آتا ہے کہ وہاں لمٹس ہوتی ہیں اکاؤنٹس کی. تو ناؤ یو ہیو اے فنکشنالٹی ویئر بائی بفور پوسٹنگ دا ٹرانزیکشن یو کین ایکچولی چیک دی لمٹ آف دیٹ اکاؤنٹ اینڈ دین سینڈ اٹ فار پوسٹنگ. ٹھیک ہے, تو گورنمنٹ کے اندر اور بلک کے اندر یہ ایک بڑی فیسلٹی. تو ISO 2022 آن وچ راست از بلڈ, اٹس دی فیوچر آف پیمنٹس, اور اسی لیے ہم اپنا RTGS بھی جو نیا لا رہے ہیں وہ بھی ISO پہ ہی لے کے جا رہے ہیں 2022 پہ. لیکن اس کے لیے بینکس کو اور سب جو اینٹیز اس کی پارٹیسپینٹس بنیں گی, دے ول ہیو ٹو آف کورس انہانس اینڈ اپ گریڈ دیئر ٹیکنیکل کیپیبلٹی جو وہ کریں. تیسرا, راس کے ساتھ ہم نے ایک کام یہ کیا ہے اسپیشلی فار مرچنٹس. ابھی آپ نے وہ پکچر دکھائی QR کی. پاکستان میں اب ہمارا اپنا یونیفائڈ QR اسٹینڈرڈ ہے, اینڈ دیٹ اسٹینڈرڈ از فار P2P اینڈ اٹس فار P2M, مرچنٹ کے لیے بھی ہے. P2P پہ 25 بینکوں کی ایپس ہیں جو اس وقت ریڈی ہیں. آپ میں سے اکثر کے پاس وہ ایپس ہوں گی. اگر آپ اس کو کھولیں گے اور اپنے اکاؤنٹ بیلنس پر ٹیپ کریں گے یا سامنے ایپ اپنی اس کو کریں گے تو آپ کو اپنا پرسنلائز QR نظر آئے گا, اینڈ یو کین شو دیٹ QR ٹو اینی ادر پرسن جو ان 25 بینکس میں ہیں, اور وہ اسکین کر کے دے ول امیڈیٹلی ٹرانسفر فنڈس. اور اس کو ہم اب جب مرچنٹ کے اوپر لے کر آ رہے ہیں تو مرچنٹ پہ ظاہر ہے اس کی کچھ ایڈیشنل فیلڈس بھی ہوتی ہیں ایکوائررس کی, دے کین ڈو دیٹ, But P2P QR is I think it's live to a larger extent in Pakistan. It's the only thing is कि आप उसको यूज़ कैसे करते हैं. फिर जिनके पास ऐप नहीं है उनके लिए टिल कोड का ऑप्शन है. तो इट्स लाइक अ 10-12 डिजिट नंबर जो आप डिस्प्ले कर दें और वो आप यूज़ करें, उससे पे कर दें. We are also bringing the concept of accepting payments using merchant alias. तो अगर एक दुकानदार है वो अपनी दुकान के नाम पे बैंक से एक alias रजिस्टर करवा लेता है, दैट्स जस्ट अ नंबर. मैं उसको आई लव टू थिंक इन टर्म्स ऑफ हैशटैग. तो वो एक तरह का हैशटैग है और वी कैन डिस्प्ले इट एंड यू कैन एक्सेप्ट पेमेंट्स. फिर रास्ट में जो फिनटेक्स के लिए वो रिक्वेस्ट टू पे और PISP मॉडल है, विच मीन्स कि एनी मर्चेंट एनी बिजनेस कैन एक्चुअली सेंड अ रिक्वेस्ट टू पे. अगर आप पेमेंट्स की टर्म्स में सोचें तो इधर पेमेंट्स बल्क होती हैं या P2P होती है या रिक्वेस्ट टू पे है. अगर आपके बच्चे की फ़ी का चलान आया तो वो भी एक रिक्वेस्ट टू पे है. अगर एक टैक्स का चलान आया तो वो भी रिक्वेस्ट टू पे. सारे बिल्स रिक्वेस्ट टू पे हैं. नाउ राज गिव्स यू द अपॉर्चुनिटी टू सेंड रिक्वेस्ट टू पेज एंड द कस्टमर कैन चूज टू पे नाउ और दे कैन पे लेटर. अगर कोई बिल है जिसकी 30 डेज की वैलिडिटी है तो दैट बिकम्स अ पे लेटर फॉर दैट्स ऑल्सो बिल्ट इन राज. फाइनली जो मॉडल जिस पे हम सबसे ज़्यादा इस वक्त कोशिश कर रहे हैं और जिस पे बैंक्स खुश नहीं है हमसे, वो है PISP मॉडल, विच इज़ पेमेंट इनिशिएशन सर्विस मॉडल. जिसका मतलब है कि थर्ड पार्टीज शुड बी एबल टू रिक्वेस्ट पेमेंट्स ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ देयर कस्टमर. सो यू आर अ फिनटेक और आपके कस्टमर ने आपको ऑथराइज किया हुआ है कि आप किसी भी पेमेंट पे उसको आपके बैंक को कस्टमर के बैंक को रिक्वेस्ट भेज सकते हैं और रिक्वेस्ट कस्टमर का बैंक कह सकता है येस यू पे और यू डोंट पे. वहाँ पर अमाउंट्स भी कस्टमर बता सकता है, वहाँ पर उसकी वैलिडिटी भी बता सकता है. और ये पूरा इसके लिए पूरा एक जो मॉड्यूल रास में बना है उसको हम कस्टमर कॉन्सेंट मैनेजमेंट कहते हैं कि कस्टमर अपनी कॉन्सेंट कैसे रजिस्टर कराता और यूज़ करता है. तो ये सारे जो फीचर्स हैं ये अब किसी भी मॉडर्न पेमेंट सिस्टम्स के लिए, और जहाँ तक हम देख रहे हैं फ्रॉम स्टेट बैंक ऑल्सो और मेरी अक्सर रेगुलेटर्स से भी अराउंड द वर्ल्ड बात होती है, तो सारे अब उसी डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं. इट्स समथिंग विच इज़ वेरी न्यू. इट्स लाइक कोई 1 साल पहले किया है, किसी ने 2 साल पहले किया है, लेकिन दिस इज़ व्हाट इज़ गोइंग टू डिटर्मिन द फ्यूचर ऑफ पेमेंट्स इन पाकिस्तान. और वी आर वेरी होपफुल कि इंशाल्लाह अगले 1-2 साल में हम देखेंगे कि जैसे जैसे एंटिटीज़ इसको अडॉप्ट करती जाएंगी, ये जो नंबर्स मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ ये रैपिडली इसमें इजाफा होगा.
Absolutely, and I'll share another insight from our customer base. हमने एक छोटा सा पायलट रन करा था जहाँ हम we were trying to figure out the use case हमारे मॉडल के हिसाब से for request to pay optionality. One of the things that came out for women, सब भूल जाती हैं payments करना, जबकि उनके पास access भी है वो भूल जाएंगे उनकी मंथली पेमेंट्स या कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस करना. एंड दिस दे गॉट वेरी एक्साइटेड अबाउट कि अगर हमें कॉन्स्टेंट रिमाइंडर्स इस तरह से आते रहें और उससे में हमें येस और नो ही करना है, विच विल अलाउ अस टू ग्रो आवर सेविंग्स, which can then also lead to a lot of different kinds of business models within Pakistan as well. जो round of savings वाले models होते हैं जो auto deduct हो जाएं और फिर आप अपने pools pots बनाते रहें. And India has done really great job in pushing for that kind of a behavior. So I think this will bring in जो आपके बिल्कुल ही vulnerable, completely forgotten audiences हैं, उनको आप सिस्टम में लेकर आएंगे, उनके लिए ईज पैदा करेंगे और हमारी जॉब फिर कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस की बन जाएगी.
एक बात, एक हमारा आपने स्लोगन सुना होगा रास्ट का, फौरी फ्री आसान. रास्ट इज नॉट ओनली फ्री फॉर कस्टमर्स, इट्स फ्री फॉर बैंक्स, इट्स फ्री फॉर एवरीवन. जब आप कोई पेमेंट स्कीम पे जाते हैं तो यू पे ह्यूज मनी टू देम, हर ट्रांजैक्शन भी यू एंड अप पेइंग मनी टू देम, बट रास्ट इज फ्री. तो चूंकि लिटरेसी का वीक है और मैं लिटरेसी के लिए बैंकों को ज़्यादा टारगेट करता हूँ, तो उनके लिए मैसेज है कि रास्ट इज फ्री फॉर यू एज वेल.
एंड इवन छोटी छोटी आपकी फीस जो होती हैं वो आपके कस्टमर को खटकती है, बिकॉज इवन 100 रुपीज़ कैन बी अ वेरी लार्ज अमाउंट for an audience that might not be very financially well to do. So I think this, I'm very excited about it. I know that our audience base, the customer that we cater to, is super excited about what we can build on it. And I think collectively as an industry, we can create a very large impact because of Rast. Moving on to you, Mr. Abrar Saab. We've been hearing a lot about HBL Zarai services. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about what it is and its plan to enhance financial inclusion amongst farmers? what criteria will be used to evaluate the effectiveness of those efforts?
Gee, thank you very much, Halima. So first of all, before I talk about Zirai, I think what just Sohail Jawad just talked about RAST, I personally am a firm believer with the RAST P2M. I think that would truly be a game changer. I genuinely believe that I think we are at an inflection point where with the RAST P2M QR, now we can hope for a really scaled up digital payment acceptance across the bulk of our retail universe. So I think that we are at a very, very exciting stage around that. And hats off to Sohail Saab and his team for continuing to persist with this. On Zarai, again, as a bank, we continue to believe that it's not just about putting out infrastructure and products. It's about finding the right utility of what you have, creating a real difference in the lives of the most vulnerable segments, because that's where the real value comes in. And on this, again, we are grateful to State Bank for allowing us to go out and experiment with this completely new idea in this market, to set up a 100% owned subsidiary. So it was a lot of back and forth, but the regulators spent a lot of time trying to understand our model, our goals and objectives, and finally allowed us to go ahead with it. The foundation of this concept was laid through some of the pilots that we have been running over the last few years. What the concept originally started was that the small farmers, they do not have the ability to buy high quality inputs. And that's where the whole problem starts. So they buy inferior quality, they buy fake products that impacts their yield, that impacts the soil in itself, that impacts the further productivity of the soil on an ongoing basis. Then the farmer struggles with the selling of the product, the middleman, the price, getting the right price and all of that. So it's a vicious circle that the small and the mid-sized farmers continue to suffer through. So we ran few pilots where we worked with our large corporate customers who are the end buyers of these farm products, and we connected those farmers with the end buyers, and we had them agree before this first seed was sown on a price at which the product will be bought from the farmer. So now the farmer was completely free of the worry of selling the product. Then we financed the inputs for the farmer. So the farmer did not have to worry about the right kind of liquidity to be available to them to buy high quality inputs. We financed those and we said we will settle those from your final payments, because payments are going to come from our corporate clients. So that way the farmer was able to start the journey with a high quality input. Then we provided the services of agronomists who were there advising at every stage of the crop cycle on what needs to be done. They were also advising on the most economical use of the water as well, so that the water could be used in the most efficient manner. Then we also helped them go out and get mechanized services without having to worry about how to be able to afford it upfront, so that they could go out and use the most modern technology to get the right kind of value out of their fields. So we're going through multiple projects, cycles of various crops. What we saw was that the farmer yields increased in high double digits, and hence the money that was coming into farmers' pocket increased significantly. We had independent valuation done by Princeton University who revalidated those ideas and those numbers. So that laid the foundation. So now with Zirai, what we intend to do is, and we recently established our first dera in Burewala, where we will have our own mechanized equipment that company will buy. We'll have our agronomists, will provide financing for the high quality imports, will provide those inputs at a control price, right at the doorstep of the farmer. Because typically, as the need for the right product comes in, the farmer would also see that in the market there would be an additional premium that the distributors would start to charge over and above the control price, making it more difficult for the farmers to afford it. So we'll make sure right products are available literally at their doorsteps. We'll make sure we enable them through our Connect platform to open accounts so that they can do financial services and make digital payments. We'll work with them to get the right inputs without having to worry about selling the product. We'll know that they'll have a predetermined price of their output, that they will know day one that this is what the product will be sold at. We'll help them take care of the waste of the crops itself as well. So it will be an integrated service provision. The idea remains that we work with the farmers to significantly increase the yield of the crops. And to give you a context, last year for Pakistan, the current account deficit was about $2.2 billion. We had imported edible oils and crops and other food items for about $6 or $7 billion. Now, if we were not to import those food-related items, if we were self-sufficient, we would actually be surplus in current account. Forget about us exporting the agri output because of the higher yields. So that's the kind of significant impact we believe this initiative will have, and we are very excited about it. And we again are grateful to State Bank for continuing to partner with us and for allowing us to go out and experiment with this new model.
Thank you, Abrar Saab. On that note, we would like to get some closing remarks from all my panelists today. Just looking forward, Abrar Saab, what are the top 3 trends that you see are going to be extremely important in digital financial services?
I think to begin with, the first would be what Sohail Jawad Saab said, RAS, and that's going to be a game changer. It's going to be about how different businesses and different players in the market, they look at becoming more creative in terms of leveraging the power that becomes available to them. That will drive massive competition across all sorts of players. And it will kind of democratize the product offering capabilities. And I think that's going to be a very, very exciting stuff over the next couple of years. The second major thing that I see is happening, and we already started to see happening, is that our various regulators are going to start to work together, as we saw with some of those unscrupulous lending applications. So there are going to be different products and services because of technology that may come out, which may not be directly regulated by any specific regulators. But then our regulators will have to work together by those issues to go out and figure out a way of addressing those challenges so that the consumer confidence does not get shaken and the legitimate players are able to continue to build and scale new and interesting products and services. So I think these are the two real exciting things that we need to look out for. We need to see how these evolve, and these are going to be the real game changers over the next 5 to 7 years.
Great, thank you so much. What about you, Ms. Saban? Any thoughts on this? What are the trends that you are seeing and excited about?
Yeah, I think as far as digital financial services landscape at the policy makers level is concerned, I think from our network, what we continue to see is the excitement around innovation. So how can regulators and policymakers continue to support innovation, because that obviously is what will drive the market forward. It is really critical for the financial inclusion agenda. In fact, some research is also showing now there's quite a clear contribution of financial innovation to economic growth. So all of those, I think for the policy goals, means that we need to continue to strengthen competition in the market, allow new business models, new products, services, invest in the technologies that are needed to enable that innovation. Policymakers are working on solutions like sandboxes, innovation hubs. So I think that will continue. But there is also a big but with that. But what is keeping policymakers awake and will continue to keep them awake at night is the risks that are also coming with the innovation. And I think these risks are in terms of data privacy, data security, which has can have different implications in different countries, fraud prevention, making technologies robust, because that has direct implications with the confidence of the users in the financial system, which we are working so hard to build, and a one bad experience can lead to issues around that. Also making sure, somebody mentioned fraudulent practices, making sure the players in the market are, doing what they're supposed to. The risks, I think, are tremendous. And so I think a big part of what we are seeing is how do we balance the risks with the opportunities. So we continue to innovate, but at the same time make sure that inclusion comes with safety. And I think financial literacy, market conduct initiatives are becoming very, very big amongst our member institutions. And we see this is one of the top areas that they're investing in. And I think the third area is that policymakers are also investing or need to invest in themselves to make sure that they keep up with the market development, and that they, the central banks and policymakers themselves are equipped to deal and regulate the initiatives that we are seeing. So I think those are kind of the three broad trends that we are seeing across our members.
Great, thank you so much. What about you, Ahmed Saab?
So the first will be Rust for sure. Second will be an open API framework, because that will allow non-regulated institutes to open a bank account and will be managed by a regulated institute. And we'll have a lot of data coming up. So I think artificial intelligence and machine learning for fraud detection will be the third major trend for this.
Great, thank you. Sohail Jawad Saab.
Ji, thank you. I think अभी तक हमने एज एन इंडस्ट्री फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन का फाइनेंशियल मॉडल नहीं क्रैक किया है और पाकिस्तान में फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन तो हम सब की चाहत है, हम सब कहते तो हैं, लेकिन मेरे ख्याल में हमारे सेक्टर ने अभी तक इसकी फाइनेंसेस को क्रैक नहीं किया है। तो अब हो क्या रहा है? अभी रास की हमने बात की, लेकिन रास के आने से जैसे मैंने कहा होगा क्या कि द एबिलिटी टू होल्ड मनी फॉर फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशन इज गोइंग टू गो डाउन बिकॉज पीपल वांट टू मूव मनी क्विकली। वहाँ पर जो आपका फ्लोट बेस्ड इनकम थी दैट विल बी मूव्ड टूवर्ड्स अ फी बेस्ड इनकम। अब पाकिस्तान की जो इकॉनमी है बिकॉज ऑफ हाई पॉवर्टी वो लो मार्जिनस की इकॉनमी है और इसीलिए कोई स्ट्रेस आता है तो हमारी स्टार्टअप सबसे पहले जो है वो ख़त्म हो जाती हैं। तो यहाँ पर ये देखने की ज़रूरत होगी हमारे बिजनेसेस को और ख़ास तौर पे हमारे फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर को और हमारे बैंक्स और पीएसपीज और सबको कि किस तरीके से दे कैन एक्चुअली मेक अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ मनी और एट द सेम टाइम वो सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करें कस्टमर्स को। तो पहला तो ये है कि हाउ विल द फाइनेंशियल मॉडल ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन हाउ विल इट बी इट विल टर्न आउट। दूसरी है डेटा, और जैसे मैंने कहा कि डेटा पे हम बहुत पीछे हैं और ये बात अब समझने की ज़रूरत है कि द आंसर टू द फर्स्ट प्रॉब्लम इज़ एक्चुअली इन डेटा, कि आप डेटा को कैसे कोलैबोरेटिवली यूज़ करते हैं। उसमें ओपन बैंकिंग है, उसके अंदर बाकी सारी चीज़ें, बट हाउ डू यू यूज़ डेटा टू आइडेंटिफाई व्हाट द कस्टमर वांट्स एंड टू देन कम अप विद सॉल्यूशंस दैट cater to the needs of those customers। तो उस डेटा को फिगर आउट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है और डेटा के लिए कोलैबोरेशन और साइलोस को ब्रेक करना और रिपोजिटरीज को बिल्ड करना ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। फाइनली आई थिंक जो आपने भी बात की आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, जो एआई और जो न्यू टेक आ रहा है उसको कैसे अडॉप्ट करें, और वहाँ पर स्टेट बैंक को भी सैंड बॉक्सेस बनाने चाहिए और वो सैंड बॉक्सेस सिर्फ अनाउंसमेंट की हद तक ना हो बल्कि उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव हो कि हम कैसे उन न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज़ को कस्टमर की बेहतरी के लिए इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, इफेक्टिव सुपरविजन के लिए, ओवरसाइट के लिए यूज़ कर सकते हैं, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है। और उसके साथ साथ चूँकि न्यू टेक्नोलॉजीज़ के साथ जब डेटा और फिर पेमेंट्स की हम मिला के बात करें तो वहाँ पिक्चर हमें नज़र आती है क्लियर। आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट इज़ गोइंग टू बी डिफाइनिंग the future of digital payments in Pakistan.
Absolutely. I think what you said something which was very interesting. Cost, how do we understand the cost structures of financial inclusion, and how do we collaboratively work together as an industry to bring down those cost structures so that business models start making sense across board. और नए नए जितने business models आते जा रहे हैं उसमें जो सबसे पहले question पूछा जाता है कि आप पैसे कैसे बनाएंगे, because you are operating with such low margins. The best way forward would be to just work together as an industry to bring those costs down and to also bring the risks down. आपने जो बात करी, जो risk management and fraud management is becoming very, very important with innovative technologies that are coming in. How the more we work together as an industry, the better it is for the financial inclusion space in Pakistan. I would like to thank you all for taking our time to have this conversation. It was extremely insightful. I found it very insightful. I hope you all found it very insightful. We are open to take questions now. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Two quick questions. The first one is that this was a very good session, but this is a very unusual day that since morning we have not heard a word Islamic banking throughout this discussion. I'm linking that because of what Salimullah Sahab has mentioned. You see the ultimate objective of prosperity where the Islamic banking can play a role. So that's you see one point. There's no question on that. But the question is, and I'm addressing to Salimi Saab and Ibrar Saab, Sohail Jawad Saab ne jawab nahi dena is pe. When we look at era 1.0 and era 2.0, era 1.0 was primarily steered by the regulator, by the central bank. Do you think that era 2.0 should be steered by the private sector? Thank you.
Definitely. Sir, I was part of the era 1.0 or I think I was also... I was part of the era 1.0. I was one of the team members that has launched Pakistan's first mobile wallet. So मैंने वो देखा है सारा जो change structure अभी आया है. अगर आप देखेंगे तो उस ज़माने में अगर लिमिट चेंज होती थी तो एक फ़िज़िकल डॉक्यूमेंट जाता था और ब्रांच के अंदर या एजेंट नेटवर्क के अंदर, और फिर 2-3-4 दिन के अंदर वो लिमिट चेंज होती थी. अब वी हैव डिजिटल बैंक्स, अब हमारे पास बहुत सारे प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स हैं, हमारे पास डिजिटल ऑनबोर्डिंग फ्रेमवर्क है. जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर की आप बात कर रहे हैं, दैट इज़ समथिंग दैट विल हेल्प व्हेन वी हैव ओपन API फ्रेमवर्क अवेलेबल, जो हमने पहले भी बात की थी, जहाँ आपके पास API अवेलेबल होंगे और जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है वो उसको कंज्यूम करेगा और कंज्यूम करके अपने यूज़ केसेस नए बनाएगा. और जहाँ वो नए यूज़ केसेस जब वो बनेंगे तो वहाँ से आपकी फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन को भी इम्पैक्ट होगा और आपके पास पेनिट्रेशन भी मार्केट के अंदर ज़्यादा होगी. इसी के लिए आई थिंक स्टेट बैंक ने अभी तक एक सैंडबॉक्स का लॉन्च हमने अनाउंस की है और उसका मेन पर्पस यही है जहाँ तक मेरी ख्याल, ताकि वो सैंडबॉक्स नए प्रोडक्ट्स जो है टेस्ट कर सके, लॉन्च कर सके और प्राइवेट सेक्टर को भी इन्वॉल्व करके उसको सक्सेसफुल बना सके. So that's what I think.
I do want to make a comment on your Islamic banking, at least from a fintech perspective. All the fintechs that we know of, and ourselves included, जब हम customer के साथ मिल के काम करते हैं तो वो उनको चाहिए ही Islamic banking products हैं. So we are forced to be Sharia compliant and we're forced to think along the lines of Islamic banking. So अगर आप जितने भी पिछले 4-5 साल में जितने भी fintechs देख रहे हैं, especially on the lending side, saving side जो आ रहे हैं, वो consciously decision बनाते हैं to be going towards Islamic banking side because the customer wants that. And if you want to build for the masses, we have to go down that path as to what the customer want as well.
So, G, if I can just add a couple of comments to that. I think to answer your question, पहली चीज तो ये है कि जी देखिए, as we talk about what is going to be 2.0, 2.0 is going to be about creating more products and solutions that are more inclusive and resilient and, you know, enable people to work some green future. तो उसमें किसी हद तक तो private sector lead जरूर लेना चाहिए, which is where in terms of their innovative thinking, in terms of their desire to go out and leverage technology to do different things for the customers, in terms of their willingness to go out and engage with the customer, to understand their needs and figure out what needs to be done for them, and their willingness to develop new product. So यहाँ तक तो lead ज़रूर है, लेकिन I think at the same time उस lead को फिर enable regulator नहीं करना है. So वो lead लेकर आप regulator के पास ज़रूर आना पड़ेगा. तो वो क्या हमें कोई नई product type बनानी हो, या वो हमें for example APIs के ऊपर कोई काम करना है, हमें डेटा के लार्ज वॉल्यूम्स प्रोसेस करने हैं और उसके लिए अगर हमें क्लाउड पे लेके जाने की ज़रूरत है डेटा को, या हमें कोई नया मॉडल, जैसे हमने ज़रई के बारे में कहा कि हमने नई चीज़ सोची, सोच ज़रूर सकता है प्राइवेट सेक्टर, बट आई थिंक इट विल ऑलवेज कंटिन्यू टू बी अ पार्टनरशिप. इन सम एरियाज द रेगुलेटर्स विल हैव टू टेक, some areas the private sector will have to take the lead, but at the end of the day, it will always be a partnership.
Great, thank you, Abrar Saab. We can take another question.
It's not a question, it's a sort of a comment. जैसे अभी हमने बात की कि हम अगर बैंक अकाउंट्स की बात करें तो हम बात करते हैं कि now the bank account should not simply be the bank account, but वो एक पूरी आपको एक लाइफस्टाइल बैंकिंग की सॉल्यूशंस प्रोवाइड करें. सिमिलरली व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन, तो हमें ये ज़रूर देखना है कि मेरे क्लाइंट की ओवरऑल नीड्स क्या हैं. जैसे मैंने अपनी पहले ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स में बात की कि अगर आप अपने क्लाइंट की वेलबींग की तरफ फोकस्ड हैं, तो उस वेलबींग के लिए आप ये देखेंगे कि जी किस इकोसिस्टम में मेरा क्लाइंट ऑपरेट कर रहा है, एंड हाउ कैन आई कैन बी सॉर्ट ऑफ फैसिलिटेटिंग माय क्लाइंट कि वो उसने जो भी, चाहे उसकी वो बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज़ है, उसकी वो पर्सनल एक्टिविटीज़ हैं, उसमें मैंने कैसे उसके लिए आसानियाँ पैदा करनी है, ताकि जो एक पूरा आपने उसको, हम जब लाइफस्टाइल बैंकिंग की और लाइफस्टाइल सर्विसेज की बात करते हैं तो पूरा पैकेज उसके पास अवेलेबल. और डिजिटल में ये आपके पास एक अच्छी बात है कि आपकी यू आर हैविंग अ ह्यूज वेल्थ ऑफ डाटा अवेलेबल विद यू. तो उसकी बेस पे हमें जो 2.0 इन माय ओपिनियन वुड हैव टू थिंक इन ओवरऑल टर्म्स कि कैसे बैंक्स या फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस या नॉन बैंकिंग फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस अपने क्लाइंट को हेल्प आउट कर सकते हैं, सो दैट द क्लाइंट शुड बी इम्प्रूविंग द इनकम लेवल्स, इम्प्रूविंग द लिविंग स्टैंडर्ड, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. तो हमें ओवरऑल बेसिस पे देखना पड़ेगा. अगर सिर्फ ये फोकस किया कि मैंने तो सिर्फ फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज देनी है, तो प्रॉब्ली वो आपका जो अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव है वो अचीव नहीं हो सकेगा. समर साहब ने इस्लामिक फ़ाइनेंस की बात की है. देखिए, इस्लामिक फ़ाइनेंस का भी ऑब्जेक्टिव हमें देखना पड़ेगा क्या है. उस ऑब्जेक्टिव को ज़हन में रखते हुए देन वी कुड सी कि कैसे मैं अपने, वो ऑब्जेक्टिव भी क्या था. ऑब्जेक्टिव इज़ एक ऐसा मुनसिफाना मुआशी निज़ाम देना जिसमें कि सब लोगों को equal business opportunities मिल रही हैं. People are having that risk and reward sharing based access to the facilities. कि ये नहीं है कि there are stronger segments and there are weaker segments and the stronger segments وہ انفورس کر رہے ہیں اپنے ول آن دا ویکر سیگمنٹس. تو ویل ہیو ٹو سی کہ آبجیکٹیو کیا ہے. ہمیں انفارچونیٹلی ہمارا ریٹرک زیادہ ہے, ہم باتیں زیادہ کرتے ہیں. اس کے علاوہ ہمیں چیزوں کی شکلوں پہ زیادہ وہ ہوتا ہے کہ اس کی شکل کیسی ہے, اس نے داڑھی رکھی ہے یا نہیں رکھی ہے. اس طرح کی چیزوں پہ زیادہ. اصل بات اس کے سبسٹنس پہ ہے کہ سبسٹنس میں کیا واقعی ہم نے وہ جو میں نے بات سامنے رکھی تھی, وہ بات ہے ہی اسلامک فائنانس کے پرنسپل پہ کہ کیا میں اپنے کلائنٹس کی, اپنے اسٹیک ہولڈرز کی ویل بینگ کے لیے کام کر رہا ہوں, کیا میں آسانیاں پیدا کر رہا ہوں, کیا میں نے وہ ایکو سسٹم ڈیولپ کر دیا ہے. جب اس طرح فوکس ہوگا تو دین یو وڈ سی کہ جی تین جائے گی. تھینک یو.
Thank you so much. I think that's also a really great way. We can take another question. They were.
تھینک یو سو مچ. آئی تھنک میں نے ایک تو آپ سب کا سیشن ابرار کی بات چیت میں نے بہت انجوائے کیا. آئی تھاٹ دس واز دا ہائی لائٹ آف دا ڈے, آل 5 آف یو کنٹریبیوٹنگ. ایک دو چیزیں میں صرف ایڈ کرنا چاہ رہا ہوں. سو دیٹ ایک تو پہلی بات جو میں کرنا چاہ رہا ہوں دیٹ از اباؤٹ انوویشن. آئی تھنک دس دا نیکسٹ ایرا ٹو ایز سمر سیف, آئی تھنک اٹ ہیز ٹو بی اباؤٹ انوویشن. اٹ ہیز ٹو بی how differently and how quickly can we achieve different results based on stratas of the economy. Agriculture is just one part of the economy. There are numerous other sectors jinko humne dekhna hai. So we may start to divide Pakistan among stratas aur dekhte hain ki wo kya stratas hain. That can be a demographic strata, that could be a geographical strata, that could be a business strata. So probably we need to divide the entire country in different stratas and determine how can we improve financial inclusion in that particular area. For example, اگر آپ border areas کی بات کرتے ہیں جیسے چمن ہے اور آپ کا تفتان ہے, probably you'll need different kind of products. But then if you talk about Punjab or rural Sindh, you'll need different kind of products. ایک تو یہ بات ہوئی. تو آئی تھاٹ کہ اٹس اباؤٹ انوویشن اینڈ اٹس اباؤٹ دا وے یو لک ایٹ دا اکانومی. اچھا, اور تیسری بات میرا خیال یہ امپورٹنٹ نہیں ہے کہ انوویشن کون کر رہا ہے. آئی تھنک دیٹس ناٹ امپورٹنٹ. اف یو ریکال گائز دا ٹیم سٹنگ ہے, سلیم اللہ صاحب, اگر آر ڈی اے کی بات نہ ہوئی تو غلط ہو جائے گا. روشن ڈیجیٹل اکاؤنٹ واز our star product جس پہ ہم سب نے کام کیا, اور it was all about innovation. So here was a group of non-resident Pakistanis, 10 million of them. ہم ان تک پہنچ ہی نہیں رہے تھے. But we got to them through Russian digital account, and like Salimullah Sahab said and others also, it was about lifestyle banking. پوری ایک رینج آف پروڈکٹ دی. ہم نے کہا جی گاڑی بھی لے لو, گھر کا بھی لون لے لو, بجلی کا بل بھی پے کر دو, لون بورو بھی کر لو, ڈالرز میں بھی رکھ لو, روپے میں بھی لے آؤ, جو کرنسی جس میں چاہتے ہو, یعنی ین میں کر لو, euro میں کر لو. So we made that happen over a period of few years. So I thought so innovation ہمارے لیے نہیں ہے, اور میرا نہیں خیال انوویشن پہ کسی کی بھی اجازت داری ہے, anybody. بٹ ایک چیز جو مجھے ضرور فائنینشیل سیکٹر سے کہنی ہے کہ آپ ہماری پش کا انتظار کرتے ہیں, which is rather unfair. آپ ہماری پش کا انتظار نہ کریں, آپ خود سے انوویٹ کریں, بلکہ ہمیں پش کریں. It should be the other way around. آپ ہمیں آ کے کہیں کہ جناب یہ میں نے پروڈکٹ لایا ہوں, اب اس کی تو ریگولیشن ہی نہیں ہے. So that's the only thing that I like. My message to the banks would be کہ یار انوویٹ کرو, اور وہ ضروری نہیں کہ ہر بات آپ نے ہم سے پوچھنی ہی ہے. Sometimes پورا آپ دیکھیں کہ جو ایم پیسا کا ماڈل ہے کینیا میں جو ایوالو ہوا, ریگولیٹر سے تو پوچھا ہی نہیں گیا. It just happened, and پاکستان میں صرف we tried to overemphasize on regulations, but financial sector should understand کہ innovation لائیں گے تو regulator آپ کے ساتھ کھڑا ہوگا اور regulations بھی لے کے آئے گا. So that's what I have to say. But I thoroughly enjoyed your session. I think this was the hallmark of the day.
Thank you so much. We can.
So Halima, if I could just give one comment here.
Ji, of course.
Ji, so I think it's a pleasure to see Irfan Saab. I can dare to say that Irfan Saab has been a partner in crime with the industry. I say he's been extremely supportive. I still recall इनके पास हम 2007 और 8 में गए थे मोबाइल वॉलेट की रेगुलेशन की बात करने तो इन्होंने सबसे पहले कोई एक वन पेज के ऊपर कुछ ब्रीफ के साथ एक SMS बेस्ड सर्विस का अलाउ किया था बैंक and then from there onward branches banking and all of that to acknowledge that Irfan Saab and his contribution in getting this journey going.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. I am Sonia Farooq. I am Chief Human Resources Officer at U Microfinance Bank Limited. I have one question. I think the session and the discussion was very, very interesting and intriguing, and I completely agree to the comment that innovation has to come from anywhere in any segment and from any fintech partner or a financial institution as such. My question is that we have been talking or hearing about the cryptocurrencies, which may be the future of the digital payments yet to come. However, it is still considered as not a legal tender from some of the countries, including Pakistan. So are we, as a state bank and as the financial partners, are we in the right kind of direction where cryptocurrency might be just around the corner, like bitcoins or any other thing, which may become a legal tender very soon, like ChatGPT came and took the economy by storm. So what you say about that, are we equipping ourselves to be ready to change the form of the money that we are dealing with, or what are we doing on that front? Thank you so much.
अच्छा मेरे ख्याल में क्रिप्टो करेंसी लीगल टेंडर तो नहीं बन रही है इनफैक्ट बहामास ने उसको लीगल टेंडर डिक्लेयर किया था लेकिन अब वो नई लीगल लेजिस्लेशन कर रहे हैं जिस पे उसको रिवर्ट कर रहे हैं उसको दे आर आल्सो गोइंग बैक तो क्रिप्टो करेंसी लीगल टेंडर का तो कोई चांस नहीं है मेरे ख्याल में एक बड़ी बदकिस्मती हुई है क्योंकि क्रिप्टो करेंसी की बैक पे जो टेक्नोलॉजी है वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड लेजर टेक्नोलॉजी कहलाती है बदकिस्मती ये हुई कि उस टेक्नोलॉजी की पहली एप्लीकेशन क्रिप्टो करेंसी की शक्ल में सामने आ गई जबकि उसकी और बहुत सारी इस्तेमाल हैं उस टेक्नोलॉजी के जिसमें एसेट्स को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना मैंने डेटा की बात की तो अब डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड डेटा सिस्टम्स की बात हो रही है और KYC शेयर्ड हम खुद बना रहे हैं पाकिस्तान में PBA के साथ मिलकर जिसमें डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड हो रही है तो वो तो शायद ना हो लेकिन जो होना आई थिंक जो होगा वो ये कि सेंट्रल बैंक्स इंक्रीजिंगली सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसी पे काम कर रहे हैं विच इज़ द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ फियाट करेंसी जो हमारी करेंसी होती है ऑन टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड लेजर और उसके अपने फ़ायदे भी हैं और अपने नुकसानात भी हैं और उस पर काफ़ी काम हो रहा है ख़ुद स्टेट बैंक भी उस पर काफ़ी जो है वो काम कर रहा है तो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड जो मेरे ख्याल में ये होगा कि आप करेंसी की एक नई शक्ल देखेंगे जो CBDC की शक्ल में होगी और वो सेंट्रल बैंक्स इशू कर रहे होंगे प्राइवेट क्रिप्टो करेंसीज मेरी नज़र में जैसे बिटकॉइन वगैरह है वो एक्सक्लूजन को बढ़ाती हैं वो इंक्लूजन को नहीं बढ़ाती क्योंकि वो जो लोग उन करेंसीज को यूज़ करते हैं वो फॉर्मल सेक्टर से वैसे भी बाहर चले जाते हैं तो बिटकॉइन वगैरह तो वो एक्सक्लूजनरी इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स हैं लेकिन इंक्लूजन के लिए जो CBDC पे काम हो रहा है और मेरे ख्याल में उस पर काफ़ी प्रोग्रेस होगी इन टाइम्स टू कम
थैंक यू सोहेल साहब प्लीज़ गो अहेड मिस अबान
Yeah, I think just from a AFI perspective also हम भी यही ट्रेंड देख रहे हैं जो सोहेल साहब ने कहा आई थिंक सेंट्रल बैंक डिजिटल करेंसीज पे काफ़ी सेंट्रल बैंक्स देख रहे हैं इनफैक्ट बैंक ऑफ इंटरनेशनल सेटलमेंट्स ने एक सर्वे किया था अबाउट 60 सेंट्रल बैंक्स का उसमें काफ़ी ज़्यादा आर लुकिंग एट CBDCs AFI मेंबर्स में से भी बहुत ज़्यादा इसको देख रहे हैं एंड इंटरेस्टिंग बात ये है कि अगर आप उनसे पूछें कि आप क्यों इसको कंसिडर कर रहे हैं तो फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन टेंड्स टू बी वन ऑफ द टॉप रीजंस फॉर व्हाई सेंट्रल बैंक स्पेशली इन इमर्जिंग एंड डेवलपिंग economies are looking at CBDCs उसमें से in our member countries I think Nigeria has launched a pilot Ghana has launched a pilot so वो countries definitely CBDCs पे advance करी and main reason being financial inclusion so it's interesting to hear कि state bank भी इस पे काम कर रहा है but it's still in a very early stages where some countries are at pilot stage others are still looking at कि क्या model adopt करना है and all but it is definitely linked to financial inclusion. So it's an interesting conversation to keep having. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I will take this opportunity to close this panel. It has been a very, very insightful discussion. And like Salimullah Saab also said, where the new era that we are getting into, it is more about lifestyle financial services. And as financial industry, we should be looking at more collaborative opportunities and create more innovative processes and products to include more and more demographics. And I would like to thank you so much for taking out your time and being so generous with your time for this discussion. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a few moments more. Yes, I would like to invite Mr. Salimullah, Deputy Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, to please hand over a token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists. Thank you so much for such an enriching discussion. Starting with Ms. Halim Iqbal. Suhail Jawad Sahab. Ms. Aban Haq. Ms. Aban has specially traveled for this session, and she just arrived last night. So thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, she was associated with State Bank earlier. Mr. Ahmed Salimi Sahab. And to collect the souvenir for Mr. Abrar Mir, I would like to request Mr. Rehan Abbasi Sahab to collect the souvenir on his behalf. I hope all of you actually enjoyed the discussion. It was very engaging, so many different perspectives were presented. And to present a token of appreciation to DG Sahab, Mr. Salimullah, the Managing Director, Mr. Basit Ali, has done the honors. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us here. I request you all to take your seats in the front. The session has not concluded as yet. We have vote of thanks, please. settle down. For the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Executive Director, State Bank of Pakistan, Syed Samir Hussain Sahab, to please come on the stage.
थैंक यू सना। वो जब सलीमुल्लाह साहब का सेशन शुरू हो रहा था तो मैं देख रहा था कि 1/3 चले गए थे और अब जैसे ही इन्होंने ये ख़त्म किया तो आधे और चले गए थे। अबान, आपको याद होगा 10 साल, अब मेरी कोई स्पीच नहीं है, आई विल नॉट टेक मोर देन 2 minutes यू सी, जस्ट वर्ड ऑफ थैंक्स। लेकिन अबान, आपको याद होगा कि ऑलमोस्ट अ डिकेड बैक, यू सी, इट वाज इन रिवरिया माया, एक आफी की कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रही थी और अचानक एल्फ्रेड ने उसमें आउट ऑफ द ब्लू कहा कि आप में से कोई कुछ कमिटमेंट करना चाहते हैं फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन के हवाले से तो करें, और मेरी तरफ देखा और मैं आ गया स्टेज के ऊपर विदाउट एनी प्रिपरेशन। सो आउट ऑफ द ब्लू मैंने जब उन्होंने पूछा तो मैंने उनसे कहा कि माय अल्टीमेट ऑब्जेक्टिव वुड बी टू हैव फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन इनकलकेटेड इन ईच एंड एवरी इंडिविजुअल ऑफ पाकिस्तान, और वो वहाँ रिकॉर्ड हो गया उसके अंदर। सलीमुल्लाह साहब, आज आपने जो कहा prosperity of individual, prosperity of each Pakistani. So it absolutely aligns with that. Ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum and very good noon. It's an honor for me to thank you for your active participation in that. We started today's journey with MD Saab's inauguration. It was very good. And then video was run, which very eloquently explained as to Pakistan's journey. Mr. Mikael, lead financial sector, World Bank, then explained the international and global perspective of that. Then Governor Saab presented State Bank of Pakistan vision about financial inclusion and financial literacy. 5 साल आगे हम कहाँ देख रहे हैं, 75% के ऊपर financial inclusion को in terms of unique active accounts. उसके बाद फिर जब second session शुरू हुआ तो सलीमुल्लाह साहब आपने उसमें पूरा एक्सप्लेन किया कि हमारा क्या विजन 2.0 क्या होना चाहिए, सिर्फ अकाउंट खुलने से नहीं, क्योंकि अकाउंट्स के नंबर आपने देखें, अगर एक्चुअल अकाउंट जो मल्टीपल हैं वो भी अगर देख लें तो अकाउंट्स की तादाद इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में 180 मिलियन है, 180 मिलियन, और इसमें से यूनिक एक्टिव अकाउंट्स 83 मिलियन है। लेकिन उनका यूजेज क्या हो रहा है, कितनी दफ़ा वो इस्तेमाल किए जा रहे हैं, क्या वो अल्टीमेटली उस फ़ायदे के लिए हैं जिसके लिए एक इंडिविजुअल ने फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन को ऑप्ट किया था, जैसे आपने बताया वो अल्टीमेट हमारा 2.0 का ऑब्जेक्टिव होना चाहिए। सोहेल जवाद साहब ने सेंट्रल बैंक का मुकदमा पेश किया बहुत अच्छे अंदाज से। अबान आपने ग्लोबल उसका प्रेजेंट किया, अब्रार मीर प्रेजेंटेड पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ कमर्शियल बैंक्स, सलीमी साहब ने मार्केट पर्सपेक्टिव उसमें बयान किया, हलीमा आपने बहुत अच्छा इसको मॉडरेट किया। अगेन आई वांट टू थैंक ईच एंड एवरी वन ऑफ यू हुज प्रेजेंट हियर इन नेम। आई विश के नाम होते तो मैं एक एक का नाम लेके कहता अगर लंच ठंडा ना हो जाता तो, बट अगेन आई वांट टू थैंक यू फॉर योर पार्टिसिपेशन। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you so much, everybody, and Mr. Samir Hussain Sahab. And this brings us to the close of the ceremony. But let me share another interesting thing that is happening around Pakistan right now. While we are gathered in this auditorium and having, celebrating excellence in financial literacy awards and engaging in different discussions, Pakistan bhar mein 90 se zyada schools, mukhtalif hamare jo 16 BSc offices hain, wahan pe they are engaged in a poster making competition. So kids from in the age group of 11 to 15 years, they're imagining a world which is cashless, which is all digital, and they are drawing them on the posters. So ये activity पूरे पाकिस्तान में अभी हो रही है, and more than 2,000 students are actually engaged in this activity. Kudos to all the stakeholders. कल से banks जो हैं 160 camps लगा के मुख्तलिफ पाकिस्तान के शहरों में, districts में financial literacy ना सिर्फ मनाएंगे but inclusion भी enable करेंगे. So good luck to that. And yes, the refreshments are open. You may join us for refreshments now. Thank you so much for your time, for your patience, for engaging in discussions with us, and thank you for your presence. Have a good day. Allah Hafiz.